that gulf needs to be bridged between you and yourself, inwardly. She's fine. Thank you. Now, what I did with the gentleman with the smoking, see how quickly that was healed. And the lady that was sitting here with the mother, that was sort of draining her life, she came up and hugged me a little while ago. And she seems to be doing a lot better. And the main thing, does it hold? The question is, what happens here, is got to hold. You see, I can, when my consciousness, when you sit in this room, whatever I call my consciousness, then it's infectious, in a manner of speaking. It's kind of like an osmosis. So you share that. If the presence raises you, it sort of rises to meet me. But then when I'm gone, what happens? Does it collapse? The whole thing collapse? We don't want that to collapse. What you get here, and we haven't really started yet. We have a gentleman here with arthritis. How old are you, by the way?
56.
It's rheumatoid arthritis, right?
No, it's a chronic form of arthritis called pseudo-gout, which means false gout.
False gout.
False gout. It's a different crystal than gout. In gout, it's uric acid crystals that precipitate in and around joints, causing an inflammatory response to develop, and the joint gets destroyed.
But you have inflammatory reaction.
In this disease, it's a calcium crystal.
Yeah, calcium.
That does the same thing.
Did you know that this is not something that you're told, but emotions have a chemical effect. They affect your chemistry. They call it chemical imbalance. So what the hell is chemical imbalance? How do you get a chemical imbalance? I mean, it seems like I don't see animals that chemical imbalance. I mean, how comes that your body isn't self-regulating? It seems to be self-regulating. What happens when it doesn't regulate? When things go wrong? And when you're emotional, human beings are not meant to be emotional creatures. Mr. Spock was the only human in Star Trek. But they dare not make the other people, the other heroes, less emotional or emotional, non-emotional. Otherwise you would not think of them as human. I'm not an emotional person. But I do emote. Do I not? I emote. I'm going to do 18 hours of seminar. When I finish, I hope I'd only notice that I've done any work or been with you. Actually, I've enjoyed this morning. The time goes very fast, as it does with you, doesn't it? See, so I'm not an emotional creature. I have, when I see a boy burying his father, the way I buried my dad, I have a little. I'm 80 years old, still haven't got over it. But that's not the same kind of emotion as, yay! Hail Hitler! Or hail the other fellow that we saw the other night. I can't mention his name. I'm not supposed to. I don't have freedom of speech. They don't allow you. But never mind. It is, to be emotionally aroused is to be emotionally controlled. And the fact that you can emotionally arouse people means you remove them from their common sense and you implant them any unreasonable idea, and the more unreasonable it is, the better it works. And emotions make you unreasonable. Emotions make you think that you're reasonable when you're not. Emotions make you think backwards, meaning that your thoughts do not arise from you. They arise from the fact that you gave over something of yourself, the key to the kingdom, to ordinary people who also have lost the key to the kingdom to ordinary people through the generations, so that everybody thinks that anybody who is not an emotional person is not normal. Last Sunday, I had a gentleman, was it Sunday a week? I had a gentleman who was 88 years old, and he was born a very normal person, but because it was a Jewish family, it affects you think Jewish families are nice families. They are, because they seem to have less problems than most families, see. Because there's certain structures which is sometimes good and sometimes not so good. But when you have a father that comes from a concentration camp and he's brought it back with him a little bit of the Germans, because it does happen. People do become like what they hate, and suddenly they hurt their own children. So the minute this kid comes into the world, and I'm not saying his father was in a concentration camp, I was just adding it for poetic effectiveness. I didn't know the background of that. I know that all he remembered is what? He was no good. And he doesn't remember hating his father, has no memory of it. Only he remembers he was no good, and he was just a useless, no good person, and that's what his father said, and he believed it. But he has no memory of being hateful towards his father. He only remembers running away. But he still has no memory of being hateful to his father. That's because deep down inside he's a good kid. And no one wants to hate their mother and father. Great sin. So he blocks that out. But anyway, 88 years old, since he's been that way for 80 years, and he was listening to me for 40 years, and one day he comes up, and I was able to out him, bring him out. And he walks away smiling. He brings his whole family, because he knew it was going to be the day that he was going to say these things that he never said before. First thing I said, who wants to say something? And he starts to speak. And now he'll live another 20 years. And that's because it took him 40 years listening to me. And remember, he sends like $200-300 every month to my foundation, but I never see him. But there's a love of me, for me, and what I do. But he keeps his distance because something in him is afraid. And something in you may also be afraid. But as I said before, that fear is not your fear. And it's not what you think, these ideas that tell you that you hear spoken this morning, these strange ideas about being obligated to mother and not, feeling that she'd be angry with the daughter if she doesn't, give her life to the 80-year-old mother who's sucking the life out of her and then sacrificing her own kids. So all these thoughts that compel you are not your thoughts. And they come from feelings that are not your feelings. Yes, they're your feelings. They are your feelings you've given others to manipulate you. Now, I wanted to disabuse you of the idea that being an emotionally sensitive, pardon the exaggeration, but sensitive is not good. Sensitive is thought as a virtue, but so's AIDS. You die from AIDS, there's a great ceremony. It's like you're going into some AIDS kingdom. But standing up for what's right as our soldiers is thought of as some kind of bullying, baby killing, and not standing up for what's right, defending your country. There's actually a backwards thinking. Pardon me. Actually think backwards. And those who think backwards are normal. That's why I like that song I play on the radio. It's the backward man, because he's a backward man. You think backwards, but you do not know that you think backwards. If you think forwards, and now we have to know what forwards is, but we'll discuss it. But we all come into the world, and if you're not like everybody else, like your sweet, loving mother, and you always go on loving someone so as to be loved, and as long as you're loving someone, someone loves you back, and then you feel the love. But you're manipulating other people's love. You cannot manipulate other people to give you a feeling of being loved. You are a slave of that love. Or you're a slave for it. Now, let's put it this way. That nice little preacher, the bald-headed, bespectacled, nothing human being, who presides in your church, especially Catholic church, they're pretty feeble. I like a Catholic religion. It's one that's held its ground more than all the others. So don't get me wrong. I'm just talking about how preachers and ministers get to be ministers and teachers because they're able to emote people. They're able to entangle people in intellectual processes. And that's brainwashing. School is brainwashing. If you study and they make you study and study and study and study and give you, and not only good things to study, they give you mishmash to study, things that have no value to you. And you're forced to study and you're looked upon as a dunce. And this is an intellectual, emotional tangle from which you cannot extricate yourself. And you can feel like you're a failure and go through all your life, trying to succeed, trying to learn math, trying to learn science, trying to learn what you love, tangle you up. Because you started to become emotional. You start to doubt yourself. The pressures are immense. And then the self-pressures. When the pressures are not there, you pressure yourself. But it's not you that's pressuring yourself. It's sin that made a home in you. Yes, we've got to bring the word sin back into the vocabulary and polish it up and give it a good name. But if you know what I mean. It's really there. It's not me that doth these things, says Paul. He says, the things I want to do, I can't. The good things. Now, he was a Pharisee. He obviously did good things, but obviously he didn't feel very good about it. See? You can do good things and not feel good about it. You can love and feel like you're a slave, but then you get confused. After all, it is love. It's the only love you know. But somehow you get confused. You feel guilty for loving. You haven't loved enough. That's what the voice tells you. You haven't loved enough. And then if you love more, you've loved too much. And then you hear people say, I love too much, that's what's the matter with me. But if you love just right, there's nothing the matter with you. But what is just right? And who are you serving with this love? And what is this love that you're serving? Or what is this love that's being served up to you? So go back to the preachers. If the preacher is weak, he will do more and more for his audience, and the audience will eat him alive. He gets weaker and weaker and weaker and gives more and more sympathy to his sheep. And they all love him. Isn't he sweet? Isn't he a wonderful? Oh, didn't he give a wonderful talk this morning? Isn't he a godly man? Everybody feels so good. But the trouble is, he's dying. You're seeing he's getting withering away. You see the femininity. You see the weakness. You see the false compassion of representing a God that loves them when it's really him that's being drained. And he's serving himself up to everybody. Now, so nobody's being served, but everybody is being denied the love of God because you got the love of your preacher, and he's a slave. He's a slave of his sheep. He can't do enough, just like the David can't do enough for a wicked mother. But this is not an obviously wicked man. This is a man who's also deceived. And he doesn't understand he's giving his life to his flock. And he's not really helping them. And he may have a nice, comfortable home, and he lives in a comfortable comfort zone. But still, he's going to end up with all the problems you have one day. And then you have the Jimmy Swaggarts of the world. See, similar, but he's feeding on his flock. This one's not. This is a sociopath, or close to it, because when he knows how to compensate, he's a bad guy. He's got problems. He's compensating for terrible guilt. But the point is, he's learned how to make people pretend to be what he isn't, and people love it. God loves you as you are. See? And everybody loves me as I am. You didn't see me say to the audience this morning, God loves you like you. I said he's forgiven you. But there's a different connotation. This man has an oratory. He has a power of arousing passions. And therefore he's believable. but then people believing in the man. In other words, God doesn't love you as you are. But he is awakened, he stands unholy in the place of the holy, and the people are aroused to elect him, just like you saw the other night. They are aroused. And you know what happened the other night? In several speeches, so when it was, so one was a candidate and the others weren't, so you have to figure out which one I'm talking about. See? But the principle, I can talk about the principle, is that when you have an arousing speaker with great oratory, you had better watch out. If you have a inspirational speaker, like the one that I think President Bush honored, Tim, what was his name? Tony Robbins. He honored him. That's a manipulator. That person arouses you to feel like you can achieve anything. Leaves you with nothing. What he has is riches. He has worth. He leaves you nothing. He strips you of your money. Then you have the baker lady with the mascara that running down her nose. All these people, these are nothing people. Can't you see that they're nothing people? But if you're emotional, you don't see them as nothing people. Because you see them as representatives of God, representative of a political party that can make change. They can bring your life and give you what's missing. It's going to take more of what's missing. The love, to be aroused emotionally. And I don't mean to be arousing emotionally now, because I'm getting a little bit aroused myself. But I'm just being emphatic. There's a difference. It doesn't have that oratory to it, that crescendos and all the rest of it. It doesn't have the script. See, I'm speaking from the heart. I'm not speaking from a script. So I'm speaking randomly. Well, you know what you hear is what you get. And I'm talking around something. I'm always talking around a principle or lack of it. I'm describing something that you should become familiar with, so you should know it as the enemy. So that when people love you, you get greeted at the airport by somebody who hasn't seen you for a long time, or knows that you're an important person, and they are, as a group of people, greeting you at the airport and hugging you. Oh, Mr. Master, so glad you came. And I've experienced that before, being an important VIP speaker. And lady, I remember the first time it happened, she just hugged me at the door. I came in because I was going to speak to all these VIP people, and she hugged me, and I felt, just a minute, there's something wrong with this. So I didn't respond to the hug. It was just a cold fish. I was very pleasant. But if I'd responded to the hug, I'd be gone. My wife gave me a hug the other day. I'm used to that. That doesn't affect me. See, the hug, the appreciation, the sense of being lifted. I don't mean to be rude. When I hug somebody, I hug them because I do love them. I'm not going to hug them for a feeling. I'm going to hug them because I have something there gently to give her. And that's a freeing hug. And every now and then one of my grandchildren will give me a kiss. Walk by, I love you, Grandpa. Kiss. Sometimes the little ones will come sit on my lap, only for a minute, and get off. They got what they wanted. I got no feeling from it, but I'm happy for them to sit there. Oh, there he is. There she is. And she's gone. She's got something. I don't feel anything leaving me. I didn't give anything that I know about it, but they got something. They got reassurance that they're a person and they're free. They were assured that I love them, but I didn't love them. I didn't get a feeling from it. Do you get a feeling when you love somebody? Yes, you do. And you get feeling hurt when you don't, when you're not loved. Who understands what I just said? Only half of you? Let's try again. Who understood what I said? Yeah, that's right. Don't I love you? I'm here, aren't I? I love our servicemen. We send 16,000 CDs to help them. It's called the coping strategies. I love them. I don't want to see them suffer. I don't feel good by doing it. I don't feel anything. I don't feel good when I do something good. It's just that I do it. What else would I do? What else would I do except my little daughter, granddaughter, sits on my lap or gives me a little kiss. It's nice. See, when I love, I don't ask to love in return. When I love, I don't want something. When I love, I don't know I'm loving. I have no idea I'm loving. And when I'm correcting you, standing as a contrast, saying, hey, look, that doesn't look right to me. Take a look at this. I don't feel rejected if you reject me. I don't feel important if you get better. I just doing my job. I know how to help you get better. And I don't feel important. I don't feel like I've done anything. I'm only the instrument of love. See? So, yes.
When I hear you talk like that, it just feels so detached.
Yes, it is.
I know, but I mean, why would you want to be detached from the love of a grandchild?
Question. What a delightful question. Anybody else thought that same thing?
Can I just make two little points?
Yes,
and then I'll
absolutely,
be quiet?
absolutely.
I don't like that. I feel you're detached from the love of a grandchild.
No, I'm not detached.
But you said you derive no emotion from it, no feeling.
I derive no emotion. Now that's
you said feeling too.
I know nor feeling. No, I don't know how to explain it to you because you have to be where I am.
I don't want to be there.
Then I won't be able to help you.
Well, let me. You know why? Because
you got to consider.
I
you got to consider.
God gave us our emotions for good.
No. Listen. You got to consider that I'm not nuts, and I have something you need to know, and that you're not familiar with it.
Well, I'm trying to understand.
Sure, you are. Sure, I understand that.
Let me just make one other point.
Let me ask this lady here who. What's your name? Yes. Do you have a microphone? Could you stand up and talk to this lady? Do you understand what I mean by not being detached?
I do, but I don't have any words right now.
She doesn't have any words for it. Go ahead. You can give it a shot. Some other person.
Give it a shot.
Yeah, give it a shot. We'll have the dueling.
Okay. I think it's a great question, if I may.
It is a great question. It's a great question, and we need to deal with it.
But I think the difference is, and I've struggled with the same question, is there's a pure emotion or a pure feeling.
Yes.
That is different from the feeling to generate a response, which is a manipulation.
Or a feeling.
And I think that's the difference. You can feel a pure sadness if you see a serviceman get injured.
Yes.
You felt a pure sadness when you saw Ronald Reagan die.
It's a little bit selfish because I missed him.
Oh, fine.
But it was a good miss. It was a good miss because the love I had for the good in him gets transferred to my Father in heaven. The fact that I love my Father and it never went away, it's always concerned me, if I can just make this point. It's an inward thing that no one knows about. But because I loved the Father that I could see, I can remember, can I share with you a moment of my life? When my father died, if you hold on to the microphone. When my father died, when I was 12, I knew he died before he died. I was away at school. And the headmaster called me in, but my father visited me the night before, so in my dream. I knew what it was when they said the headmaster wants to talk to you. I knew what it was instantly. And I suffered all the way home on the train. But then there was an aftermath. I never hardly knew my dad because he was always working. It was the Depression. He had 11 languages and he could do anything, and yet he couldn't find hardly work. But again, he found a way to make it work, and I won't go into that. But when I buried him, I'm 12 years old. I began to sort of not want to believe he was dead, right? And so I would walk up to behind someone who walked like my dad and tug on his sleeve, and he turned around, it wasn't him. You know that? So, see, I can feel a little emotion now. See? So, then something says to me, without words, that wasn't your dad. What do you mean? It's almost like saying, I'm your dad. I'm the spirit of your dad. So it's transferred to him. So, in that sort of thing, that kind of person leaves you with a connection, not to the person, but to the God of the person. See? So again, I never had an emotional relationship with my father. My father was a good man. And when he wasn't there, I kind of understood he was working. But there was never an emotional attachment, but his example was exemplary. The fact that he smoked a lot, it was witness that he was not dealing with my mother right.
Yeah.
But never mind, he was a good person.
Yeah.
He never hurt me. I can only remember a few times when I spoke to him. And one of the times I was 8 years old, I said, I heard that hydrogen and oxygen is water. He said, can you separate those two and we could run our cars on it? He says, yes, you could, son. I remember me talking to him like that. It was a long time ago. And I can remember me saying, where's the truth? He said, I don't know. You have to find it yourself. That's all I remember. I don't remember him saying anything else. See? These are seminal moments. So I did find it myself. I can't help you. I can only guide you to where it's at. I'm helping you to see it for yourself. But in order for me to do that, I have to disabuse you of an idea that you're emotional, because I've never been an emotional kid. The only time I got emotional was when I got married the first couple of weeks, and I started getting irritated with my wife because I was locked in, couldn't get out. And so, but it didn't last but only a little while, and I understood it right away, because my whole life was not emotion. And when I saw that how it made me sensitive to my environment. Because things in the environment began to irritate me. I said, what's going on here? And I immediately connected to resentment that's how I learned it young. But that time, I was very good at hypnotism. I understood the machinery of the mind to a degree, but not as it applied to me, but applied to everybody else. I was different from everybody else. I didn't know I was different because I walked amongst people. I was in the world, but I wasn't of the world, and I didn't know I was different. So, what made me different, what made me whole, is I was complete, or more complete. Not so complete that I couldn't get screwed in the mind by my wife. See, because, I didn't know what marriage was all about. I think I did the right thing. I knew her 2 weeks. She fell ill. I was 300 miles away. I called her. She was all right. She was bright. She's still a very bright woman. Don't get me wrong. But she has a little thing that's programmed into her from parents, and she hasn't seen it. She doesn't want to see it. She's always right and never wrong, and I'm always wrong and never right. In her mind, there's two people. See? She's two people. And she can't see that she's wrong. She can't see that she expects something from me that I don't know what it is. I kind of know what it is, but I don't live up to it. But I don't know what to live up to it because she hasn't told me. But she doesn't have to tell me. She wants me to worship her. She wants me to treat her like a prima donna. I won't. I would if she didn't make me want to do it. See, I would. I've told her, see that old car you're driving? I'd love to buy you a new one. But I'm afraid that it'll pump you up and make you worse. So you drive the old one. I drive the new one. But I'm driving an old one too. A little bit newer. See that? But I love her. I endure it and endure it and endure it. I'm not made worse by it. I just wait for her to stop. I said, look, Anne, explain it to her. I said, look, you're trying to manipulate me. You want me to see me in a certain light. You want me to behave in a certain way. And you want me to embrace you with love that glorifies. I can't do that. I want God for me, right? You're not it.
But where's the joy in your marriage?
There is no joy in my marriage.
But you know what?
No, I don't get any joy.
That's not how God intended marriage to be.
Oh, yes, no. I tell you what the joy is in marriage. I've got 5 fine kids. And they all understand, and I've set them all free. And they're all loving. Where they need to be firm, they are firm. Where they have to be strong with their wives, or, in the case of my daughter, strong with husband. You can't be angry like this, whatever his name is, see? And he sees it, because a woman has the right to stand there her ground and say to her husband, you can't behave that way. It's not becoming of you, husband, see? So, the joy is that you can't take my joy away. I already have the joy. I have the happiness. You can't give it, and you cannot take it away. But I can be an example of it to you, and you can't grasp that, because I have it all the time. I have energy that seems to, thank God, that will last me 20 hours a day. I can work 20 hours a day and live on 4 and not notice I'm working. I can do this program. I can love people. But I'm not the lover. See, I'm the instrument of love. That's the joy. That's the joy of being the instrument of love. And the minute I become emotional, I have given the power to another. I've been seduced. See, the fact that you're emotional, here's what it means. The fact that you're emotional means you've given the trigger of your life to another, and that person has given the trigger of their life to another, and now they're doing to you to suck back from you what was sucked out of them. And what's happening is there's a chain of command, because when they emotionalize you and upset you, that works. Or when they can make you feel guilty and worship them, that works. But it's at your expense, and you empower the rottenness in them. We were talking about that this morning. We saw an example with a lady who was up here, who was addicted to her mom, and was sacrificing her own sons to the same wicked old woman, who knows how to manipulate everybody by being mean one minute and cruel the next minute, and then nice the next minute, and tell you, see what I'm trying to say with this? I didn't want to go over what we did. If you want to have a question, you need a microphone. Yes, but we'll go with you. And we'll come back to you just a minute, if you don't mind.
I didn't understand it before, but as you were talking, what I realized is that she wants a feeling.
But
she wants a feeling. She wants to feel the happiness. She wants to feel the joy. It isn't a feeling.
It's not a feeling.
It's not a feeling.
Let's put it this way. And you can interrupt if you want to. We're still having conversation. You can interrupt me. I can interrupt you, okay? So, if you're happy...
You don't feel you're happy.
You don't feel you're happy. If you're brave...
You just are.
If you're brave, you don't feel you're brave. If you're healthy, you don't feel you're healthy.
You only feel when you're unhealthy.
You feel it when you're unhealthy and you want something to make you feel healthy. Yeah. And that's what you get from your doctor,
yep.
Which makes you worse. This is managed illness. This is not managed care. The nation is getting sicker and sicker and sicker until we become a nation of robots, dependent upon a government to give us everything, including feeling. Pills. Soma. It's like Brave New World, right? Everybody was taking drugs to feel okay, killed no conscience. So, emotions will kill your conscience. Emotions, the transference, the fact that, let me see if I can say this again. Forgive me, it's not easy to do. But the evidence that you're a broken person is you're emotional. That somebody can upset you easily, and somebody can arouse you to a sense of being restored to virtue, which is an illusion. You're not restored to God, you're just more restored to them. And every psychiatrist, every psychologist worth their salt knows two things. It's just as dangerous. The conditioning is the same when you're upset as when you're getting pleasure. Pleasure and pain are two horns on the same goat. Pleasure is response to environment. The environment feeds you a sense of worth. That sense of worth is worthless. It's worse than that. It sensitizes you to environment in such a way that the next upset gets bigger. And the next need for pleasure, the pain, to relieve the pain, is greater. That's the nature of addiction to drugs, alcohol, anything, and to people, and to books, and to cults, and to church, and to dictators, and to food, and to everything you can imagine, to learning, studying, being a student all your life, studying the Bible all the time. It gives you a feeling of being a religiosity feeling. So you are, go ahead. No, I'm listening.
Oh, to me?
Yes.
Oh, well, I was going to comment on a few things you said, but I don't know if this is the right
time. No, please do it.
I think there's a difference, again, between the emotionalism that you're talking about, which is the reactivity,
Yes.
and the pure feeling that you had with your father's passing and that you still have, and that I think Lisa's talking about, the sadness that we might feel. And again, you mentioned when you're healthy, you don't feel healthy, except by contrast to when you feel unhealthy.
That's
you need
correct.
the contrast in order to experience
That's
that
right.
feeling.
That's right.
But
You can't stay high too long, otherwise it's artificial. So
Yeah.
you have to have a low.
But I would say that when your grandchild is sitting on your lap, you probably do experience pleasure. But what you don't do is you don't manipulate the situation, and you don't manipulate the grandchild. But I would say that, and I think that's the confusion. Because it makes you seem like someone who I don't really think you are.
Yes.
And I think that's what Lisa was saying. You don't manipulate as a result.
Okay, now we have a response here.
Well, I would say further, you don't suck energy from that child. You're not trying to suck something out of it for yourself.
I was just saying, the gentleman in the back, it's so nice if you can come forward someplace. Is there some closer place that you can sit? No, I guess not. But you want to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
I didn't see the microphone. Sorry, go ahead.
What I'm hearing is that when you love someone so that you get something out of it, you're really just using them to love yourself. Yes. And what the kind of love you're describing that you express is a selfless love in its purest form.
Yes, but then the lady that asked the question, I don't know what your name is. What Lisa. Lisa's question is well put. It makes me seem like a person I'm really not, and it's hard to describe that I don't have euphoria. You see, I felt a little awkward when I danced with my mother because she always felt important dancing with her son. That feeling of importance, and that was uncomfortable. When we went to a bar mitzvah, or when we dance, you dance with your mother. And you can see she got a special pleasure from it, which is unhealthy. It made me uncomfortable. See? It made me uncomfortable because it was something she was getting from her children. Children are not supposed to give any feeling to you. They're not supposed to give any love. They haven't got love to give. You've only got the love between them and their God to preserve and not get in the way of it. Am I making sense? Yes. See? So when I see signs on a car, have you hugged your children lately? I want to break their neck. Because that is a bad sign. Have you hugged you? As if hug was love. Hug sucks. It doesn't have to, but it usually does, because you can hug someone in a sweet way. And there's a gentleness about it. And there's something beautiful about it. Non-sexual, non-use. It's so you're just there for them. And there in a way that you're not getting anything from it, but somehow you're transmitting something to that person that you don't see yourself. You don't feel it yourself. You don't feel the transmission of love, because otherwise you'll tend to take credit for it. Oh, I'm being loved. Yeah, that's so dangerous to think of the world as loving you, or anyone loving you. I tell you what, I'll try to find another way of saying it. And so this can convert into some healing here. This can come healing, and I'd like you to speak up. I want my children to love me. But I don't want them to love me because it's me that's being loved. I want to love them because it's good for them to love me, but it's not good for them to love me to feel bonded, obligated to love me. There's too many things in the word love for me to play with the idea, but I think you know what I mean. I don't want them to be bonded to me. I want them to be freed from having to be tied to me in some way. I've got to free them to be their own person. See.
I have never felt free until now. I have always been a slave of my mother, and my father's deceased.
It's always emotional.
It's always emotional.
You told me you saw. You've been emotional all your life.
All my life.
And you've had no peace until recently.
Till recently.
So, then I'll finish my thought then. I don't mind you coming on with those thoughts. Anybody. But I'm just filling in my own experience. I want my children to love me. But I have to be worthy of that love. Meaning, I have to love my Creator. And they have to see their Creator, my Creator, in me. So when they love me, it's a sort of respect for my respect for God. See? And so they look at me with those eyes that see the authority in a man that isn't a man. It's a God in a man. Yeah. See? I can't look back and see my God, but they can look at me and see in me where I'm coming from. So when they love that in me, it's the same as loving me. Because I'm in the way, but I'm not so much in the way, I don't block it out. I don't feel it and think I'm the one that's being loved. Wow, see? That's what we want when we have ego. But not looking for that. I want to be an example, and sometimes I have to be harsh. Sometimes I have to wrestle my kids to the ground. I mean, they're 6'4". And when I see that they're wrong, I would persuade them. And when they're never that bad. But sometimes I have to come on very, very hard. And sometimes they're hard with me and they're right. Sometimes they're hard with me and they're wrong. So, what is the state of mind that knows whether you're wrong and whether right without being confused? What is the state of being that knows whether you're right, but the other person's right, or whether you're right so you can hold your ground, or whether you're wrong that you should yield. Say, you know what, you're right. But if you're emotional, they can beat you into the ground. You become so emotional, so guilty, you give in when you don't need to give in. And that's when your whole life gets twisted. So here comes a point I might not have made. I'll make it now. So if you are not emotional, you haven't given your emotions to others to trigger, good ones or bad ones, and give you the feeling, because you can't tickle yourself. Have you tried tickling yourself? It doesn't work. But other people can tickle you. So if you give the power for other people to turn you on and turn you off, and then drugs and doctors will follow that for sure, and ministries and religion and politics can arouse you, right? If you give others that, then you are not a whole person.
Can I just add something that I see here?
Actually, I forgot the point I was going to make. It was such a very fine point. Sometimes I get right close to it, and then I'll get to it in a minute. No, go ahead.
Well, what I see is this isn't my emotion. It's my mother's emotion.
It's what you
inherited.
It's the nature of your...
But the more...
It's right.
But I've always been my mother's emotion, and I only recently realized that.
And mother's love is not as good as it seems, is it not so?
Here's an interesting story. My father's sister recently passed away. And my mother, so we never had much to do with this aunt. My mother never liked her. In fact, I found out that she threw her out of the house because she was trying to boss my brother and I early on. And all of a sudden, when she died, I was very sad and very emotional. And I couldn't figure out what it was. And I just looked at it, and then in a dream, she came to me and I hugged her. But I realized that it was never my hatred of her, because I didn't really like her. I had my mother's hatred of her, which was see?
Yes, it is.
And I was free. I mean, in the dream, because I felt sad, and I didn't know why, because I wasn't even close to this aunt. So what happened was, I didn't really hate her, but I had my mother's hate towards her in me.
That's correct.
And that's what I saw.
Now, gentlemen, when you get upset with your wife, there's always usually there's a mischievous quality in a woman that men have to tangle with. And if a man is not an emotion, men are not supposed to be emotional creatures. Women are emotional creatures. But they need not be. Because when a woman is not emotional, she's like a man, but she's still a woman. Because we're both human beings. A man is calm in his way and reasonable. And a woman should be reasonable in her way. She's a woman. You know, you can have an apple tree and an orange tree next to each other, and each one is what the sun makes it. See? So you're a woman form, and a man is a man form. But it's in your incumbent. But you are closer to the earth than you are. Adam was created first, and woman came out of man, and she was called woman because she came out of man. It was just like a divine order. It works because woman is always looking for the correcting love of a man, not the influence of the serpent, of Paradise Lost, which is operating in churches and in political circles, in various secular ways. Always sitting on the doorstep trying to encourage the wrong relationship and making it difficult for men. Like no-fault divorce makes it very difficult for a man to stand up, because all of a sudden a woman can cry foul and the government comes to her rescue and the kids go to another guy and he's out there and someone's got his kids, right? That's so wicked. So wicked. I'm thinking of having a civil rights lawsuit against the government for that one of these days, so I get enough people. But I may do it on my own. We'll see. But yes, sir, do you want to say something?
Yes, I want to say that
Yeah.
as I have become less emotional because of the meditation during the years, I actually have a better relationship with my children and grandchildren.
Yes.
They feel more comfortable around me. They come to me. My daughter and her husband, they're having relationship problems, okay? And so my teenage granddaughter doesn't like her father. He's impatient with her and the other two grandkids I have. And she was at the house the other day, and well, not that long ago, but I was sitting on the couch, and I was just sitting there quietly. I don't know if I was meditating or what, but she came and she sat next to me, put her head on my shoulder, and I didn't do anything. I didn't want to gush on her or hug her back.
Something
I just wanted, that's what I felt inside me, not to do anything, but just let her have her moment of feeling comfortable and safe.
Yes, comfortable and safe. But it wouldn't be safe if you were getting a feeling from it.
It's amazing. I didn't get a feeling from it. I just felt like something from God, like God was hugging her.
That's right. That's perfect. Now, if you deal with, that's non-selfish love, because you have love. God loves you. And so, but then you need to emanate that. So that quality is radiating through you as a man. It's very difficult for a woman to play that role, except she'd be loved by a man properly. There are women, we see one just recently, I'm delighted, if you know what I mean. I can't say it. See, what a beautiful creature. What a beautiful creature. Anyway, that one my love goes out for that. But it's like a glad heart, but it's not whoa. It's other people going wow. They got emotional. I can have the same appreciation for the sunlight, for the rising sun, for a blade of grass. Always wonder, always appreciation. Appreciation goes deeper than emotion. It's more solid. It's a much more solid and quiet love. It is not ostentatious. It's not demonstrable. It is. I don't know how to explain it. You have to sort of have the gift of it to know what it's like. You can't tell a blind man how a bird flies. You can't. You got to see it. You have to experience this light. You know, if you lived in a cave, you can talk about a sun, and you can make a picture and make a yellow streak, and you can have a candle in your cave, and you say, well, the sun is like this. But how can you unless you come out of the cave and feel the warmth of the sun and everything that the sun is radiating and giving life to? It's not the same thing. Words can only go so far. You have to experience it, see? So all I'm trying to say, well, you're in a cave. No wonder you can't feel the sun. No wonder you're looking for everything to get a feeling, because you lived in a dark cave all your life and that you feel lonely and lost, and your need for something. The light of the sun. See? Well, that's kind of nice to say, S-O-N. Right? It is nice to say that. But, so I want to disabuse you, because if I can't disabuse you of the idea of emotions makes you abnormal, I mean, you think that if you're not emotional, you're not a normal person, you'll never get better. Because everybody will say to you, your emotions are quite normal. For kids, yes, they get angry and frustrated, and they want approval and they want their way, but all they need is a father or mother, a mother that loves the father, in that order, and a father that loves the Creator, to be able to be patient with those children, and for the authority to mean something. For the authority to mean something, they have to have the nature of the authority in them. But if a man is emotional and lives from emotions and not from the God of love, but it becomes the center of the idea that he is the center of the universe, that he wants to be loved. And women in her way and men in their way, you see, each have the illusion of giving love to each other when they're really screwing each other. Pardon the way I said that, right? They're screwing and outscrewed. The screwer gets outscrewed. See that? I mean, forgive the vernacular, but I don't know how else to say it in a polite way. See? So that's what it is. And the government and the people are the same way. No, your security lies within you. When you feel secure, you're not secure. I'm never secure, but I don't feel insecure. See, I'm never secure in something. I'm not secure in my car. I'm not secure in my house. I'm not secure in the world. I'm okay with that. That's an adventure. There's an old saying I've mentioned on the radio. The greatest adventure for a coward is marriage. Because he gets deeper and deeper and deeper into some kind of adventure. See, basically, it's a journey away from yourself. A journey towards the forbidden, love, glory. Encouragement for a female to bring home the bacon and have a nice Rolls Royce, and all because she gives him the encouragement to his pride of achievement, and rewards him for his pride and achievement, and turns him into a donkey, but he doesn't know he's being turned into a donkey. He thinks he's doing it for love. Yes.
So we've been talking about the positive types of feelings. What about the other side of the coin? When something is, we speak about, say, you get a bad feeling. Say somebody's not right, and you have a feeling about that person that's about negative things.
I tell you what, you will in the beginning, because as you have this cloak around you, this cloak of invisibility, this cloak of invulnerability, this cloak of like a immune system, but you don't know you have an immune system that's doing a lot of work for you. It's not, you don't know it's there, but it is there doing its work. It's up to you to nourish it, to give it the right food, right? That's about it, the right behaviors. But then there's a cloak of immunity that's spiritual. If they break through the first one, you've only got the second one. And after a while, the second one breaks down, because the first one should never break down. So that in this seminar, what we're doing is re-establishing that other one that makes you impenetrable. But practice will make you... In other words, one of the things I was saying to the people up here, God forgives you. You can't forgive anybody until you've been forgiven. But then you can pass that forgiveness off to others. And it takes the form of you not resenting people. The realization that, you were once in their shoes. And you didn't know what you were doing. And now you do. And you didn't know what you didn't understand, but now you do. And you have an understanding that's God-given to know that people can't help what they're doing. So it doesn't matter how mean they are. And they could be mean and wicked and really evil, and it never will change. But even if you have to die, don't resent your killer. Got it? Like the Gandhi. The last thing he says, I forgive you. Right? He didn't resent his killer. What your killers do, would you they kill you like a death of 1,000 cuts. What they do is they wear you out. If you kill the soul, you can kill it quickly, depending on how strong you are, what power you have to do it. The shock can be great until your mind is no longer yours, your soul is no longer yours. Or they can whittle you away a little at a time. It's called marriage. It doesn't have to be that way. But if you're not whittled away, you become stronger and stronger, so that even your prison, your guards have respect for you.
So this second immune system, the spiritual protection, it's like an awareness, like, oh, this person's scary, and you become more sensitive, but it's not a feeling, right?
Well, in the beginning, you'll see where you'll see the motive of a person, and it's ominous. You'll see the ominous. When you were a child, you couldn't deal with it. You sometimes hid from it. So you pretended that you have a pretend friend, or you have a fantasy world you live in where you don't see the wrong, like the man who hated his dad, who thought he was no good, cannot remember his father being mean. He couldn't remember. All he knows is remember running away, but he couldn't remember that he hated his dad. See?
Okay, so as you become more, straightened out, your head straightened out, you get greater sensitivity to danger around you, right?
Yes, but that goes away after a while. First of all, you have this ominous feeling. Now, you've got to be careful. Is this ominous feeling a projection? See? Here's the fine print here. So is the ominous feeling a projection that you think that person, because they look like someone, and they wear the same belt as someone who beat you with one, so you could be projecting onto someone because there's something in you that needs to hate something for security. Resentment is a form of hate. And there's something in you that will actually project onto someone who's innocent an ominous feeling of, for instance, a lot of people feel that my very presence is painful to them, especially when I speak. That I exist is painful to some people. They have a reaction to me, see? But that reaction tells them, falsely, that I'm not a good person, because otherwise why would I be hurting them? And if I told them the truth about something, which is only meant to help them, there's something that doesn't like the truth that's in them and doesn't want them to see the truth. There's something in a person that won't let you see. There's something in my wife that won't let her see. I understand that. So I don't lay it to her. And I don't lay it to her anyway. If she never wants to be better, I still don't lay it to her. Because either way, I win. Because if it is a wicked person, and who would never be anything else but wicked, if I don't have him back, he loses. Because the enemy always wants to take your soul. Jesus said, fear not who kill the flesh, fear those who destroy your soul. If they destroy your soul, the rest of you goes with it. See? And so then it comes back to speaking up. But then sometimes you can't speak up because it's not wise. Because they never would. When Jesus was speaking to Pontius Pilate and all the others, what did he say? He never said much, did he? And of course, he says something about truth, and Pontius Pilate said, what is the truth? And he never answered. See? So sometimes you just can't explain to people. You just have to live it. And so they keep, what they don't know they're doing, they want the peace of your soul. They want to get to you. And the cruelty is designed to get to you. And the flattery and the deception is designed to deceive you to thinking they're good people, that you put your faith in them. I do neither. But I still know how to put faith in people. I separate it. I give it a name. I trust you, but I don't have faith in you. I trust you as far as I can throw you. See, I give you latitude. I listen, my employees, I trust them, but I don't put faith in them. And I see, and it's a measurement. Trust is a measurement of how much you can trust. Faith in God gives you a measurement of how you can trust a person. And therefore, that is called love, because my employees, they work without supervision. That's called trust. That's not necessarily faith. It's born of faith to know that these people are trustworthy. And they need to have their own space, and they do very well. And in that space, they make mistakes. In that make mistakes, and sometimes I do. And they should be calling me on it, and I always appreciate that. my children, my grandchildren will say, Grandpa, you're wrong. You misunderstood that. I listen. See? So, but in that frame of freedom, they make honest mistakes because they're honestly trusted. And I see that they're honestly they're on a journey. So you've got to trust them. You've got to leave them alone. If they smash the machinery, so what? It's part of the cost of doing business. I always say it's cost of doing business. They feel sorry and all the rest of it. But I catch them at certain little things, which we won't talk about. Little things, they're so complicated. It's always something at the moment you can't really explain in an audience like this. And they sometimes they see it, and sometimes they don't. Sometimes they get it, and they feel pain, but it isn't deep enough pain, so they make the mistake again. See? They feel the pain. They don't feel sorry. They feel sorry that they've been found out, but they're not sorry that they're wrong. So it's a pain, you see. So it passes from being repentance. Oh, I get that. So that means what happens again. See?
It's a continuous moment by moment.
So, but I always love them. Okay. Yes, now we're back to you again.
Is it too much?
No, not at all. This is a very important subject. Because we're going to come to some healing there sometime because of this, there's going to be an empathy created, an atmosphere created where someone will suddenly stand up and say, well, I could see I was emotional here and I get to have a breakthrough. Somebody. Yeah. Go ahead, and we'll talk to you. We don't have to say something first. Go ahead.
As far as you talk about selfishness, and I think, and we make a lot of stereotypes based on gender, but I think you're really talking about the feminine spirit and the masculine spirit.
Yes.
But as far as selfishness, I think now I'm going to stereotype a little bit, a lot of women in particular are not, selfish literally means full of self.
Yes.
And I think that there's a selfishness that's kind of a quote-unquote bad selfishness that you talk about that relates to ingratitude, manipulation, other things that are clearly in the bad category, if I can make that judgment. But there's a different type of selfishness that I think is positive, and that is when sometimes you don't do as much for someone who is trying to manipulate you, and that's a good kind of selfishness.
That is right on the money.
And I want to make another comment, if I might, as well, and that relates to, you talk a lot about your relationship with your wife.
What else? I don't have any other woman. That's a good thing.
And, Lisa made a comment that I'd like to maybe just pick up on a moment, and that is, she questioned, which I didn't hear an answer to, but maybe I just missed it, is that if you're not deriving joy from your marriage, not necessarily from your children who emanated from your marriage and your grandchildren and so forth, she was wondering, I think, why remain in a relationship if you're not deriving any real joy? And the other, related to that, I would say, is, of course, we shouldn't do things under pressure if someone's expecting you, if your wife is expecting you to do something and she's trying to...
But you went too far with the question. If you could hold it there, why remain in a marriage if you're not getting a feeling out? But that would be selfish. Why would I go look for somebody else when I got responsibility to 5 kids? See? And so... And what is this responsibility? But it's what I'm supposed to do. How else would you do it? I brush my teeth. How else would you do it? I stand up against wrongdoers. Even put my life in danger, if need be. How else would you do it? How else would I don't know? I don't know where you draw the line. I love my wife. I love my children. They don't have to be good. The love is there, is that just do your worst. If that's what you want to do, I'll be there for you. God waits for me. I wait for her. What more do I want? Is there not a joy in that? Do I look like a sad sack? See? Where's that gentleman who was emaciated? Lady was emaciated. Oh, there you are, right there. See? That's how I'd look. I'm 80. If I was, excuse me, I don't mean to be rude, but she needs to know she's emaciated and it's all a lot of emotions that goes on and she needs to open up here. Because she's just drying up, blowing away. And I just we're talking about this, especially for her.
But it's not that you're saying then that you don't get any joy from your marriage.
I don't get any joy from my marriage, but I don't get any joy from anything because I told you I'm happy all the time anyway. What can make me happier than being happy? But happiness isn't is not a feeling of anything. When you're healthy, how does it feel like to be healthy? Anybody knows what it feels? I don't know what it feels like to be healthy. I just know when I'm unhealthy. But then, what did I do to be unhealthy? I don't want to get the illusion of being healthy by taking pills. I don't want the illusion. I want to find what was it that caused me to fall to ill health. See, so why am I depressed? Why should I? Why do I feel hopeless? I don't feel hopeful or hopeless. I just know that I have a path. And it happens on its own. And love happens on its own. It seems like I don't have to do anything at all. Then I say to myself, I don't say to myself, but I've actually seen the answer to the question I'm about to pose and answer myself. It is the reason why people cannot give up their ego, emotionally sustained ego, which is an illusion of being somebody that now has to achieve because the ability to make something happen positive has gone away. The minute you become emotional, you become full of doubt. You no longer trust who you are, but you trust what you think is most advantageous to you, and it's always damned if you get it, damned if you don't. And if you get it, because it's the sheer power of your personality. Now, who was that gentleman who built an airplane with 8 engines? Howard Hughes. Look what happened to him. He ended up as a pile of scrap, living in fear with sycophants all around him. He was a fear of germs. And an old, broken man with all his achievement. What did he? He was nothing. He was nothing all along. And the feeling, so when you lose the feeling of purpose in life, then you have to make your own. And in a manner of speaking, that's what one likes to have, is to feel like we're free to do, to be what we want to be and have what we want to be and to achieve. And all that achievement comes because the real achievement, the real magic of life, gone. And you don't understand what, it's gone yet. But it leaves you with the feeling that you have to make something out of your life. See? And you move in that direction. And you create problems. And then you struggle with those problems. And you get sick. And you get well. And you press on regardless. And you keep making the same mistake over and over again and getting sicker and sicker. Or this marriage doesn't work, the other marriage doesn't work, your kids hate you, you become a drunk. I mean, it grows. You get filled with the glory of making huge amounts of money and everybody loves you. You can't be wrong. And you're so content in that. But then there's an ennui, a feeling of discontent, something you cannot admit to yourself. And all of a sudden, the stock market fails. And you lose all your money, and you suddenly feel your whole life that's built on the sand is gone. And you begin to, the pain is excruciating. It's a withdrawal that cannot be replaced with the money that you can't get, the glory that's all gone, and you want to get on the roof and jump off the roof and kill yourself. The pain is so great to realize what an ass you are. See? So, but still, that light that is there all along, you could realize by the light of it that you're on the wrong path rather than curse it and die. You see the big difference? Cursing and die. And I'm almost there. It's a long way round. But that's what we're here for. Just the details. The devil's in the detail, God's in the details, one of the two. So, the reason why it's so simple for me, why I see this thesis on the wall, there's a thesis, that is going to change the world one day. It's a big discussion going on in science right now about it. No one's saying anything. They're afraid to say something. They're not criticizing it. It's silence. There's more. I've left half of it's missing. Half of it I keep. Okay? But that part's enough. It's the unified field theory. But the reason why life is simple for me, my marriage is simple. The happy family I've got is simple. The success I enjoy, excuse the word, is all effortless. There's not any effort I've put out for it. It's like, oh, how'd that happen? I'm here. You know, I've got foundation, I've got radio programs, I'm into science. I'm just starting a career. I'm 80 years old. I'm starting a new career. I'm seen to go on from here. Meanwhile, I'm helping the soldiers overcome their post-traumatic stress disorder. We started an organization called Patriot Outreach, which is a separate organization, but it's got generals and psychiatrists on it. I have nothing to do with it. I just want to help them get going, and I'm providing free material to them. And the Colonel has created a CD called Coping Strategies, which has all the materials in it, but then some, made specially tailored for the military, and it's working like magic. It's way up there to the top of the government right now, everywhere. So I have hopes for that. But the thing is, everything will happen in its own time. See, my story has been written for the good. My particular story, you have a story. You have a story. But you cannot bring it forth as long as you're emotional, as long as you're prideful. And as long as you're prideful, you're sick. And when you're sick, you want to be well. When you're lacking love, you want love. Damned if you get it and damned if you don't, because you're a slave for the sake of it. And then you somehow at a point you feel like you're a slave. You feel like people don't appreciate you enough. Because you can't get enough of it. And you can't do enough for it. And damned if you get it and damned if you don't. And when you don't get it, you're angry. And when you're angry, you're further away from God. It's the same with setting goals. You move towards a goal, and when you move towards it, you're actually moving away. And when you achieve it, you're further away from the purpose for which you're created. Seek first the kingdom of God and the right way. All other things shall be added. What we do? We get it backwards. We seek the things to be added. Now, we now have an illusion of what it means to achieve. But it's insanity. We make the same mistake over and over again. And every time we do that mistake, we expect a different outcome, and it's worse. And then we delude it into say, well, you didn't try hard enough. It's all a matter of trying. To me, it's not a matter of trying at all. It's all effortless. Now, I'm coming to you just 1 second. The reason why I'm coming to this, because there's a lot of words, got to come to a point, a very fine point. And that is that egos can only have a sense of achievement by setting a goal and struggling. It's got to be difficult. Because if it's not difficult, the more difficult to get it, the greater the challenge. The greater the challenge, the bigger ass you are for challenges. Excuse the expression, because you suck that up. You're like a gorilla. Boom, 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 boom. Right? You are puffed up with the challenge. Damned if you win because you're the gorilla. You're the beast. Damned if you lose because you're a slave of the beast. Which one is worse? I can't tell you. There is no other choice. You are in hell. Either way. You're the hell maker or you're the slave of the hell maker. There's whole systems like that. Look at North Korea. They're eating each other. The people are eating each other. There's no food. So, the government doesn't care. It's just, those in power feed off the downfall, the degradation of the people. And then they want to go to their neighbors and degrade them. And the soldiers who are degraded then can degrade the other women and other people of the neighboring countries. Because they're hungry, but they've been fed on. The dictator has to offer them another country so they can ravish it. See? That's the nature of the beast. That's what war is all about. Something is taken from us, we have to take from others. And when we're on the front ranks, when we're the foot soldier, we just can't help but revel in the corruption and the dismembering of taking the clothes and ripping the children out of the mother's wombs. Anything to take the frustration of being degraded, to do their own degrading. And it's the good pleasure of the beast that you do that. See? Because it makes you more. You feed yourself on the downfall of others. That's the whole... What do you think Al-Qaeda is all about? What do you think fascism was all about? What do you think the Imperial Japanese were all about? They all behave that way. See, so... It's never going to stop. There's always be a dictator. There's a dictator's rising in America right now, in case you haven't noticed it. The same noises Hitler makes is being made in a different way. Seductive. Got it? And people are caught up with it. Promising what you cannot deliver. Can't deliver it. You've got to take it away from others. You've got to rob Peter to pay Paul. See? So, now I'm almost there. I'm almost there. Because it's a trail. I'm almost there. So, the fact is that egos have to achieve. They have to achieve the glory because you're not born with glory. You're born with potential. Two angels, two forces wait upon you in the world. One you're born with and one waits for you and pounces on you and takes you away from it for a while. Some people forever. Some people for a period of time. You could be married to it. You could be a friend and it suddenly appears, takes its mask off and ravages you. But you always have to expect the unexpected. I know to expect the unexpected. I know what the world's capable of. I know the dangers I'm in. Fully aware of all the dangers I'm in when I speak the way I do. Also, people are very afraid of me. See? Truth is a very powerful thing in a free country. This country is not that free. And people will say, Roy Masters, you must be a very brave person. I said, well, are you saying something about America isn't free? Why would I be brave? Why do you think of me brave if America was free? I know we're not free. But you may think you're free, but you're not really, because you people can't stand up to each other. You can't stand up to your mom. You can't stand up to your kids, and so on and so forth. It's always a struggle of wills. See? So, but now I'm coming to the point again. It's because it's so difficult, except to give lots of examples and to sort of lay a little foundation, is that the whole idea of achievement is ego-centered. The whole concept of it. And the ego cannot think that it can bring forth the fruit of anything without effort. It's got to deserve the glory. It's got to achieve the glory. And in that achievement, one loses oneself. Forever. Or somewhere along the line, the suffering we cause, the suffering we feel in ourselves, the futility tells us something, but we don't know what that is. We don't know what that's nagging us. It's the hound of heaven. God's salvation is the hound of heaven. It's pursuing you. But there's something in you that turns its back on that. See? It says, let go, let God. What do you mean, let go? Let go. If it wasn't, I'm ego. If I didn't do it, it wouldn't happen. Now, you could say, well, here I am helping people. If I didn't do it, it wouldn't happen. But I'm not doing it. See, the difference is, I'm not doing it. I'm just loving to be here. And I'm loving to be home when I'm home. And when I have a little argument with my wife, I don't mind that either. I don't lose any sleep over it. And either she goes mad or I go mad, but it doesn't make a difference to me. I'm hoping that she will awaken, because she can't turn me inside out, and I can never really be an excuse, because I endure, and it's not a big deal. So 56 years of endurance could be 100. It could be 1,000. Endurance is love, isn't it? Isn't that long suffering? But he doesn't have to suffer. There's no suffering. I've never felt suffering. I remember at the time it was painful, but I don't remember any suffering. You don't have any memory of the suffering. You don't have memory of people who hurt you. When you have memories of people that hurt you and it upsets you when you think of it, then you haven't dealt with it right. If you've dealt with it right, it's done. If you've dealt with it wrong, it keeps reminding you. It comes up, upchuck, it's like cow ruminating. It wants to come back, and you need the unfinished business. But you resent it coming up, and you struggle with it. There's your struggle again. If you didn't get upset and struggle with it, respond ego-wise. So ego The evidence that you're unstable and you haven't found God is when someone challenges you, you react. And when you react, you fall from God and you take in the will of the other person. So, to what you said a little while ago, I will now go to it. When a man reacts to a woman when he shouldn't, he should stand his ground and not look at her as an adversary, but as a kind father in those moments. So then she wears herself out, and you haven't done anything. You're patient, you endure, and she sees that you're loving her. And this is what a woman needs: a man that will not yield. She loves the man that will not yield to her temptation and cruelties and craziness. She needs that man because it's not her. It's paradise lost in her, the spirit of the serpent in her. She doesn't understand all this thing, but I know real good women, they love the man they can't control. It's a relief to them. It's a relief. But if they can control him, then she's empowered in the wrong way. So, now again, I'm going to go round and round in a circle. See? You want to go? Is it too much for anybody here? No? Too much? Are you all right? Are you okay? Because you see, what is happening is, so the last point is when this lady responds to her mother, she said it herself. I respond to my mother. It's my mother's anger I have in me. Who was it said that today? It was you. I do not hate with my own hate. I found I hate with my mother's hate. When a man resents his wife, he falls from, if he's going to fall, let's assume it's pristine, like the first man. Minute he starts to respond to the temptation and pressure, in modern terms, the seduction and pressure, to conform to her will, he responds not with the will of God, but the will of the woman. So there's two women at war with each other, and the woman will always win. The woman always wins, but she loses. Because she loses in both sense. If she makes the man into a dog, she's killed the goose that laid the golden egg. There's no life for her. It's only life. She just prods him to try to be a man, and all it does is become a bigger wimp, and she has more contempt. And she dies of contempt. On all the illnesses intend contempt, right? So the salvation of a person, the salvation of all around you, the salvation of people all around you depends upon you, young lady, with grace. If you learn to deal with others with grace, it's like a mirror. They're looking at themselves. Looking at their missing self in you. And you're restoring. And the fact that it will not be shattered, that glass will not be shattered, forces them to look. And the more they come at you, the weaker they get, the stronger you become. And therefore, the will of the Lord travels through you into the heart of that person. And either they go mad, or they go sane. If they go sane, that's good. If they go mad, that's okay too. They drop dead, that's fine. If they get better, that's fine. You're not responsible for either one. If you get better, I won't take credit. If you get worse, I don't take credit. I don't lose any sleep. Good, I have to see you better. I'd rather that. If you go crazy, too bad for you. I've done my job. I've told you the truth, and if you want to reject it, go ahead. I'm not going to force anything on you. You can't force anything like this on anybody. Yes?
If you're unemotional and logical.
Yes.
Women, at least the women I've experienced, think that you don't care when you're not emotional.
But who cares what they do? Who cares what they think? Let me put it out. Who cares what anybody thinks as long as you know you're right in your heart and you're gentle?
Right.
And here it is, one more thing. And I forgot to tell you something before. Remember I asked the question, when you stand up for yourself, how do you know it's a projection? And how do you know that you are right, even though you're strong with it and you've had your way with it before? You could be wrong. And you could be bowling other people over. How do you know you're not imposing something on someone that's not healthy? Even if it's religion, you can't do that, either with religion. So how do you know when somebody's correcting you and you're right and they're wrong for correcting you? But how do you know when they're correcting you that they're really right and you're wrong? You see, the trouble is there's confusion, because if you get emotional, you tend to want to doubt what you know is right and give in to the... See, and there's where you lose your ground. That's where you die, right there. Now, how do I deal with it? You criticize me. Go ahead and say what you want. I'm looking at you. I'm looking at you with a consciousness. I'm not moved, one way or the other. And I hear your argument, and I listen to it. I'm not analyzing it. I'm just listening. You say, you know what? That makes sense. I yield. Thank you for telling me. I'm a better man. Okay, now the other way. I'm watching it. They're wrong. Their arguments are skewed. But remember, I'm shining a light on it, and the light is revealing it for what it is. I haven't decided anything. It's just clear. When the lady said over here, I have clarity. Was it you that said I have clarity? Who was it said I had? The things that you said. Was it you that said things? Well, one of you said that what I'm saying has clarity. And I believe it was yourself. Unless I'm imagining something. I must be in a dream somewhere. It was her. It was one of the ladies back there. Yeah, that's right.
What you spoke was very clear.
Very clear, crystal clear. See? So it's crystal clear that what is so. I can yield without being broken. I can hold my ground without being broken. But the will of the Creator prevails. See that? I'm not separate. Yes?
Yeah, the key thing is not have your own little pumped up self. The key thing seems to be not to have your own little pumped up self in the way between you, or between the good things trying to flow through you and other people. It's when you put yourself up on the pedestal as a judge, either judging against yourself or judging against other people.
But
you run into the problem.
But the gift does, see, this, what you're saying is correct. And all the things I'm saying, I believe, is good. But how would you remember all the things if you go out of this room? I've spent how many hours now? Good Lord, it's an hour and a half since we've been here. I mean, it doesn't feel like an hour and a half. To me, it doesn't anyway. Maybe you, but that's why we give you nice soft chairs so you don't notice it. But the point is how was it? What did you say just now? I just lost my train of thought.
I don't remember exactly.
Wait, no, the secret is you can't remember all these words. You can't remember all the books I've written. You just can't go to verse and chapter. It's got to be born in you. And how is it born in you and reborn and refreshed? Like the universe is refreshed. My article says that. But they don't know that. But how is it refreshed in you? Every time you stand your ground and hold up the light to the world, every time you yield, you are in a breach of promise, so to speak. Every time you hold your ground, it's with the proper strength. And when you hold your ground, it does not feel like anything. It doesn't feel brave. It feels like your legs. I can tell you stories, not now, but where I have gangs of people, and I had to deal with that. And I just felt that, my wife was on one side with my kids watching. Roy, shut up, woman. Roy, and you're making it worse. But the thing is, I do what I have to do. Seems like, how would I do it? I don't know I'm doing it. My legs are in the ground, and they're rooted, and I won't move. And nothing will move me. And I can't explain it, but it has a very powerful effect on your children, on the world around you. See, and then when you speak, it has efficacy. It has authority. It has great authority than the people who are accosting you. There's something mad. You see this in movies sometimes. You see, and you admire that when you see that in a movie, because it is so. It's the way it really works. But how do you arrive at that as a growth process without memory?
Roy?
Yes.
For myself, I'm coming back from the dark. You never. So I'm coming back.
Yes.
So I never stood my ground properly before.
Yes.
But through lots of bad choices and resentment and hate, my choices, okay, I'm not going there again. It's through pain I'm going backwards than you go. I have to come back.
No, I'm coming back.
Well,
I'm
mean,
also
it's
coming
backwards.
back.
Okay, it's like, okay, I'm not doing that
Right.
again. I'm not going there again. You know, it's just one by one, day by day, and it's like I don't know, I don't have any answers, but I know that I just gotta.
And you don't know why you know.
Yeah, and it's
you
like
know
you
without
don't want,
knowing
I don't
why
want
you
anybody
know.
to love me with creepy old feelings. I've done it all, and you know what? It makes you sick.
I know.
So you come back and then you go, wow, I'm kind of happy. You know, you just are joyful. You're not joyful for a reason. You know, for me, being miserable for a long time, just being awake and in my car and having some freedom in life, and I'm just so grateful.
The gentleman would like to speak.
I was just going to say I can really relate to you. You were talking about after you were married a couple of weeks that you noticed you were starting to get irritated, things were bothering you. Not really talking about marriage so much, but just losing that state of mind, that innocence that you had and didn't know you had. You didn't know what you had, but you knew when you'd lost it. And that,
I knew what it was that I lost and why I lost it, because I was so close to it.
And that really applies to me so much, because when I lost it, I didn't know what happened. You know, I really fell into my mind and spent most of my life looking for the way back. And I just feel so thankful, you know, that I found the way back.
I'm glad.
Yeah, so.
Yes, sir.
I'm emotionally unavailable. Is there, you know, from my understanding, you have to be emotionally available to bond and have a relationship.
Let this man talk to you, because this man, my friend here, is my a lawyer friend, and I say that, can't I? Used to be a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, he been sick for a long, long time on pills. He was here last year, and he's so much better. And he will speak from little experience here, and so he has a very good way of articulating if you pay attention to what he has to say. Go ahead.
Well, I need to try to remember what I was going to say now, but anyway.
I'm sorry.
You know, one way I look at it, I think it's helped me a lot, is when you're dealing with another person, you're dealing with more than one thing. Put in simple terms, there's kind of a bright side of somebody and a dark side. Like if you're dealing with a difficult spouse, either gender, you can have love for the bright side that could be better. You must oppose the dark side. You must at the same time oppose the dark side, or you're not really loving the bright side. That's why in my own deal, I've sometimes run into situations where I felt myself becoming angry at somebody who was catering to something in me that I felt was bad. A doctor or two, I won't name, but for example. And I can just feel it when something good in me is being lit up a little bit and supported, you know. And the support is like, for Roy, for example, I can tell the support is coming through him, not from an ego thing in him. You know, that's pretty clear. And that's the healthy place for it to come in a spouse or a friend or anything. You know, somebody who's letting the honesty come through and don't feel they have to explain it.
Well, I tell you, if I may jump in here, is that when you said you're emotionally unavailable, let me see if I can rephrase that and sort of sounds a little better. If my wife would come around permanently, not just for a few minutes to get a fur coat, You know? But if I see that she is really genuinely coming around, and the light's bright side is reasserting itself, then she'd have a car. But I'd buy her a new car. I want to buy her a new car. I want to buy her a nice car. But she won't let me. See? She won't let me. I would like to do it, because if I did it in a present condition, it will hurt her. And would be harmful for me, because why am I doing it? You don't reward people. No, if she falls in the lake, I'll pull her out. So you might not, but I would. See, the thing is, but you see, so therefore when somebody's not good, and you don't hate them, that's called love. When someone's good, and you want to do something kind to them, but you don't want to do it because they just were good to you. There's a time and place where you can give a kindness in the approach. You don't respond in kind. He buys you something. He does something nice for you. You want to do something nice back. Don't grace rob. Let them do the nice thing and let the time pass. It may be a year, 10 years from now, and you can do some kind for them, and you do. See that? It will be in its own frame of time, and it won't be you doing it. It won't be you obligating to want to buy something back, to give something back before they give to you. Don't you see what Christmas time is? I buy something for you, and you know I'm going to buy something to you. You're going to feel obligated if you don't give me something back, so you have to buy something. That's swapping. That's not giving. You give to those who need it. You give because you want to. You don't give it because it's Mother's Day. A set day for you to give to Mother. Well, people are like a bunch of lemmings. See? You can't, you know what Jesus said? You make the laws of God to no effect by your traditions. You don't need any traditions. You don't need any of that. Tradition is simply Jesus didn't leave any traditions behind. Well, look at what they built on him. They built nothing but traditions and verses and chapters. He came to the world to bring brightness back to it. Belief. And said, what more does a person, he says, what is this belief? He says, faith is like a grain of mustard seed. It is the tiniest of all herbs. There's probably things that are smaller. But the point is made. It's the smallest of seeds, but the biggest of all trees. So, even you are made from a little tiny microscopic creature, right? It's over an egg, a little tiny egg. A little tiny thing, you can see it only on a microscope. And look what came from it. You. Self-regulating you, but not completely self-regulating. You're a sentient being. You are a being that has the ability that no other creature in the universe, not that I know the whole universe, but I know we're the center of it. Where the consciousness of humanity is, that's the center of the universe.
You were saying, well, I was saying I'm emotionally unavailable.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. We don't want to forget that. And I went off in a tantrum here.
And I run from emotional people.
Yeah, but
I run away from them.
No, you don't want to run away from them.
Because I view them as toxic.
Yeah, they are toxic, but you don't want to run from them.
Why not?
Because they need to run from you.
They do.
Don't run from them. When an emotional person, a toxic person, tries to influence you, and you're not influenced, they encounter the force that keeps you unavailable. But you don't want to run from it. You don't want to, because you run in fear from it. You'll always be running. You need to be the master of it. You need to be the master of what's mastering you. And you may be able to help them, because you may cause them to look at themselves. Because when they're failing to influence you, and you're standing there looking at them graciously, and they try again, they try their phoniness,
Right, but you know when they do that, they hate you. When you do that to them...
Let them hate you. It turns back in on them. You win.
Okay.
Listen, the only way to win this game is not to play it. And not to play it is to be emotionally unavailable to them.
Right.
Now, I don't mean to say, the question should rise, well, if you're emotionally self-contained, and that your emotions move and have their being, they're triggered from the inside and serve a greater purpose, smoothly, without being stimulated and excited, which it tends to reverse the process by whom you serve. So if you're that way, the question rises, how do you have an influence in the world? How can you make a better world if you have a distance between them and you? But the truth of the matter is not that way. They can't get to you, but you can get to them. Their bad can't get in you. Your bad gets through that. It's a one-way shield. It gets through them, you to them. And the effect is they will go crazy trying. People become obsessed with trying to destroy me. The internet is full of that stuff. Obsessed. I don't care. They're self-destructing. So if anybody wants to hurt me personally, it will always, I don't even know it, will turn back in on themselves. I don't have to know it's happening. At the same time, I'm helping people. I don't have to know it's happening. I'm just me. I'm only me. I'm just being me now. But if you know me, other than where I'm sitting, I'm just an ordinary grandpa. See? A little different kind of grandpa, actually. But I'm one of the kids.
Perhaps it's that you're available, but not emotionally available.
She said it. Can you give her that?
Thank you for saying it.
She said it. No, she said it right. You want to say more?
I'm probably better off stopping with what I just said.
No, it's very. I'm available, but not emotionally available.
But not emotionally available.
Yes.
But you're there. You're
I'm
present
there for them,
and you're available.
And I'm watching them. Look at me, Grandpa. Yeah, I am looking. I just love to listen to them. I love to watch them. And if I'm in the middle of writing some deep thing, I stop and listen and go on. I don't say, "Get away! I'm writing. I'm busy." See.
And there's no bondage with availability.
No bondage.
You're
no
there.
Bondage with availability. And the love is the availability. I'm always there. Always. I'm always there for my wife. See? Always there. Never go anywhere. Never go anywhere without her. I don't go anywhere with her. I don't suffer. She does. And the only way she can stop suffering is stop playing with me. Isn't that nice? See? Now you.
Okay, you've covered a lot in the last hour. So,
I know.
But back to achievement and resentment. I can intellectually know exactly what I am supposed to be doing.
Yes.
Yet I find myself not doing it. And I'm wondering, does it come down to just no self-discipline? I mean, I'm trying.
What a great question. These are very good questions. It means you're listening. Are you following? I'm not boring you, am I? No. Thank God. I'll throw you out if you said yes. No. I give an example. And I give it a couple of examples, and then maybe I can make a point out of it. Because you want to do right, but you can't do it, right? There's some things you know you should do.
Right.
So it means that your emotional self, the machinery that runs on emotion, the energy, what we call emotion, you're not connected. Because it's like a donkey. It's sort of like it kicks up and doesn't want to do what you know you're supposed to do. It's the motion as the carrier wave. It's the energy by which the will of heaven is done on earth. So therefore, but you have a good intent. You love what's right in your heart, but you're not connected yet. You're still disconnected, so it's not you that's not wanting to do it. It's something called not you that's made a home in you.
Yeah, because I feel like I'm sitting on the sidelines of my own life in a state of completely
Perfectly
disoriented.
Perfectly
Like
said.
my head is spinning as I watch this life that's not mine or whatever. I'm lost, and I'm trying. I don't give up because but I'm approaching things the same way because it's the only way I know is to confront it, have discipline, power through it, be a man. And I'm banging my head against the same wall, and it doesn't matter whether it's with food, which is an issue, which is the main thing that motivated me to come down here, or if it's with, I'm trying to learn the technical analysis of the various markets, or if it's about following through with my creative ambitions. All of them, it's this, whatever is the destructive force, it's the same thing in all three of them, and I'm sitting there knowing it's happening, but I don't know how to stop it.
Everybody relate to her? Everybody relate to her? Yeah. And we'll discuss it. We're going to discuss this.
Some of it, I think, from my own experience, is that you just have to fail enough that you get really serious about committing to truth and the things that you believe.
But he is serious, but
the seriousness is measured in your choices that you make towards wanting to be still, wanting to listen to your Creator in moments.
It's really that boils to that,
than in pursuing your own ambitions. The good Lord pursues us not. He doesn't want a sort of half allegiance. He wants he can't do anything with a half allegiance because you got one foot in the world and one foot pretending or wanting to be in the truth.
But what if you're like this gentleman here, who I really believe is sincere about wanting to do the right thing, but you hear about Jesus and you hear about the Lord, and you know it. There's something, a purpose that needs to be served, but you're not quite sure of where the border is where you can cross it. East Germany and West Germany, there was a borderline. You cross it, but in your mind there is a border. And if you'd like to come up here, I could show you how it's done.
Well, hungering and thirsting for something.
Yeah, but that's the journey. Hungering and thirsting, but then blessed are those who hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled.
Because they shall be filled.
But where do you get the fill?
Well, I always believe it was in the meditation.
I mean, the meditation...
Because there's a time when you can sit and be still, and there's this pull not to sit and be still.
That's right. That's right.
And you have to make that choice.
But you can choose to meditate. Here's a fine point. You can choose to sit quietly, and you've got the exact technique, the way to follow the process of becoming object. But then it becomes a study.
Yes.
It's a study is the meditation. And it really isn't a meditation at all. The meditation is the breadcrumb, is the trail to where it is.
Right, I understand.
And if your heart is not yet pure, you can only follow. The breadcrumbs don't go anywhere.
Resentment, what we've been talking about here is a lot of part of that journey too.
Yes.
Getting down to that hidden resentment that's down there for mother and father.
These are the entry points. Yeah, these are entry points.
That's where the meditation is really taking you. It's taking you to those places. And once you get there, that's where the hunger and thirsting is taking you, to open that door.
That's why. That's exactly right. You see, because we got to deal. You have to be willing to deal with the darkness of your past.
Right.
But the point is, it doesn't. When you're ready to deal with the darkness of your past, it doesn't mean to say that the darkness of the past will come up for you to deal with it, because even then you're not ready. Because that's why psychiatry doesn't work. They will take you all the way back to your past 10 years later, unless you find out, oh, this is what my mother and father did to me, as if you didn't know it all along. See? And finally he gets you to face it, but you can't face it. You can't. As a matter of fact, you can't face any one of those situations. You might be taken through them all and be reminded of them, hating the psychiatrist all along and bonding to him. It happens. The psychiatrists sometimes get bonded to the patient. See? And it takes on his burden. And then he has to go to a psychiatrist to get himself fixed, and then he transfers his burden to that psychiatrist, and that psychiatrist goes to another psychiatrist, and the very top one blows his brains out and cures the problem. Basically. I don't know that. So, but the point is, the beauty of the meditation is something. Look, there are some people who don't know if they believe in God. There's some people who don't think they're worthy, but they hear me on the radio, and they start the meditation. Well, I think I'll try it. Before you know it, they're new people. They didn't know what they had. They didn't know that there was something in them. I didn't know it was there either. But mine's a shotgun approach. I don't know who it's reaching, but it happens to be reaching that person. And that person himself really didn't know what to expect. But all of a sudden he finds himself in the kingdom of heaven, so to speak. All of a sudden the problems disappear. The post-traumatic stress disorder disappears. There's something about us that has something. There are lots of beautiful people who are traumatized, and they're completely lost and hopeless, and they would like to find the door. But the people keep them confused. This preacher, this drug, this psychiatrist, the friend's advice, the wrong kinds of friends, the music, the culture everywhere. Because the culture is papered with all kinds of conditioning reinforcements. That's why if you go to North Korea, you see pictures of Hung Jong-hoon, whatever his name is. Hung Jong-mil, that's right. So, but I mean, he's a nothing human being. He doesn't have to be. Some portraits hanging. There's policemen around. There's always symbols of everything keeping these compulsions you have here. All your compulsions are reinforced when you live in a dictatorship. The dictatorship that keeps the atmosphere so that you can never get out. And you have a poisonous culture right now. You can't get out.
So what do I do?
You can't get out. You see, because that's why you're here. This is not a poisonous culture here. This is where the good side of you brings you.
I've only been listening to you for 4 to 6 months, and I only catch the last 45 minutes, and then I've been listening to you online, and I've done the meditation for a couple of weeks, and well, I'm not walking around angry all the time. I'm at peace.
An improvement. That's
I had an experience the other day where I was like, "What's wrong? I'm not angry. I should be angry right now. I used to be angry every time this happens." And it was an afterthought that I wasn't dominated by my emotions.
See?
But I'm still banging my head up against the wall with food.
Give it a chance.
And not exercising and, other things. And I'm in midlife and I haven't accomplished
Come and sit
anything.
up here. Come and sit and talk to me. Come and sit and talk to me.
I am 40.
Yeah.
And so I haven't accomplished anything that I've set out to do.
It's nice to be near you. See, it's just a long way away.
Thank you. Likewise.
Yeah, but you're doing better.
I'm doing way better.
Well, look.
It's just I guess I'm impatient because I feel like there's certain
don't be impatient.
places I should be now that I'm not.
Don't be patient. Look at the gift. You got the gift of not being angry. When I said God forgives you, let it go. Stop trying to forgive yourself. Stop struggling, right? You can't forgive yourself. And people can't forgive you because that's not good enough. People's forgiveness can actually be an enablement. It gives you a pass. It gives you a
validation.
It's a free pass.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you're doing wrong again. You can't figure yourself out. Your wife forgives you, and all of a sudden you go to another woman again, and she's unconsciously giving you a free pass by saying you're okay. I love you. Therefore you're okay.
Right.
See? So we've got to be careful about that. Look, be patient now. You've got a gift. That gift you didn't know you had, and the fact that you cannot be angry and be effortless about it is some kind of magic, you must admit.
I totally admit it.
All right.
But
now,
you say be patient,
and
I instinctively go, but when will all the other things start happening? Because I've already wasted 25 years of my life being angry and self-destructive.
But anger is the root of it. Now, when I say be patient, be glad you're not angry.
It's actually
and keep
peaceful.
Remember I said, the magic of your evolution or involution is slow.
Okay.
Now, but you must be happy with small mercies. But it is no small mercy to suddenly wake up one morning and all the anger goes away because God's forgiven you. All right? So you don't have to mess. So you got your faults, so you're a little overweight. Big deal.
Well, it's a big deal to me.
No, I know, but don't let it be. If it's
I don't participate in life because I've put on 50 extra pounds. I don't engage in relationships. I don't pursue certain goals.
That's good.
You know,
right now, that works.
You know, and so it's like I'm waiting to become perfect so that I can unveil myself and actually participate in my life.
No, you got the wrong. Let me disabuse of it. You're not going to become perfect like that. Let me tell you where you become perfect. The beginning of you becoming perfect is the moment you find yourself not being judgmental towards people, meaning patient. In other words, knowing that people can't help themselves and they're not...
No, and I'm doing that intellectually, but I'll tell you, there's some relationships I had from 2 years ago that the anger still comes up. You know, and it's like, and I understand they're damaged, they didn't know better, blah, 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 blah.
But it needs to... before your food can go away, that needs to go away. You need to work on the foundation. You don't want... You're too busy to worry about the symptoms. Your sickness may persist for a while. Don't let it tease you or bother you to struggle with it because you'll lose your way.
Meaning if I struggle with it, it becomes stronger and I become more defeated?
Yes. You've seen that before.
Yes, well I know that.
Well then if you know it now.
But I'm saying why aren't I behaving differently?
No, you've got to give it chance. Because you see, you're heavily conditioned.
I'm sure.
All right.
In ways I can't see at this point.
In ways you can't see. But they're not going to be revealed to you until, here it is. Let me start again. All right. The sin is hatred. The sin is basically what I call the hypnotic state of resentment. Resentment is not an emotion, but it's a precursor to everything that's wrong with you. So if I can intimidate you with injustice, it's a mean spirit. Our whole idea of a mean spirit is to awaken that little thing called resentment. And that little thing of resentment is what animals don't. Animals can get angry. Animals can purr, and animals can tear you to pieces. They can snuggle up to each other and procreate and all the rest of it. And they live a normal life. But they cannot have this thing called resentment. This resentment is the key to the perverseness of all of the compromising of every emotion you have: food, sex, everything, love, hate, to love in the right way and to hate in the right way.
My resentments go back from before I was 9 years old towards my parents, and
don't worry about it.
I was defined by anger for so much of my life.
Okay, now you hold your horses here.
Okay.
I'm going to try and make a point.
I'm sorry.
No, but I'm going to help you.
Okay.
I don't want you to be in a hurry.
Well, I'm fighting that.
I don't want you to be in a hurry. I want you to be okay with your fat.
Right.
I want you to be okay with it. I'm okay with it.
I'm not.
You're fat, but I don't mind. And you're ugly. No, but you're ugly. See, you can handle that. It's not a big deal.
I don't like being in front of people.
But it's all right. It's okay. But can I ask, if I'm going to be your friend and guide, would you not follow simple rules? Because if you can't follow the simple one, I'm not asking you to forgive your father and mother right now. I'm not asking you to go back to your childhood and to be known for all your rebellions. And this is not counting. I'm not interested in what all your infidelities and the sex games you used to play. And I'm not interested in any of that. The fact that you overeat, I'm not interested in that. I'm only interested in keeping you close to the fire. Okay. And that is nothing to do with the past. It's the next moment that you must be ready to deal with. The only thing that's worth anything is to know you've been forgiven, which is the reason you've got this ability, you discovered you have it, and apply it to watch for the next moment that approaches you. Never mind your past. When you look in the mirror, you see fat, fine, see fat. If a memory comes up from the past, it probably won't for a while. If you just keep your mind on, be conscious, just be conscious, like I was dealing with before with the young man with the cigarette. I said you bring your consciousness forward, is what you're doing. Meditate. And the only thing that is important to you from this day forward is forget your symptoms. Do not be troubled by your it's vanity. You can't fix it. God fixes it. But there's an order in the fixing them, and that you stay close to Him. So as you've been forgiven, then you learn to deal with the next moment. Usually it's things that will irritate you that remind you of your childhood. They are sort of symbolic, but whatever they are, never mind what they are. If it's the cat that trips you over, watch out. You have a fraction of a second before you allow yourself to wallow in that resentment. You know what I mean? Resentment can appear, but you can also wallow in it, because then you go into forgetfulness of judgment. See that? Mm-hmm. So you just watch for that little tiny irritation. Now watch for it, because there are actually people in this audience that look like your father and mother. There are people here. Is anybody here that you see that reminds you of your parent? Pick one out. You've already seen them. You've already seen it already.
I can't say. I mean, if anything,
has anybody irritated you since you've been here?
Go ahead. I don't want to say who.
But go ahead. I mean, it's a fun thing. Make it a fun thing. Be honest. Who do you resent here?
Well, I wouldn't say I resent, but there are some people who have kind of been dominating the microphone.
Okay, and they didn't know that. They didn't.
I've been trying to be respectful and not jump in, but your cameraman said I had to be a little more assertive, and so
here you are.
So right. But I was like, okay, you've made your point, and
go on. Let's have it.
And so yeah,
you see how little it is.
It's insignificant.
It's insignificant, but you build on those insignificant things. They become, the insignificants are distraction from the significant ones. In other words, it keeps you from dealing with the big ones. If you can't deal with the little ones, you can't deal with the big ones. The little ones are very important. So these insignificant ones, you could watch yourself and you could let them go. So these people are not trying to hurt you. They're just doing their job.
No, I appreciate that.
So, but look how you irritate. But look how they irritate you. See?
I give them power.
But it's not healthy.
I know.
It's those little resentments is keeping the old self alive. So, if you trip over the cat is not a bad creature. It's in the way. If you trip over a nail, and you get resentful towards it, the nail didn't do anything. But the nail, because of your disposition towards the influence of environment, resentment makes you sensitive to environment. Remember I said a little while ago? Mm-hmm. So that keeps the things in the environment now take control. Go ahead.
I'm finding my biggest resentment is towards myself and how weak I've been.
It's turned inward. That's no good either.
And how I approach life. I've let bad influences in my life. I've let people manipulate me. I've let I've crossed the line between being a nice guy and an idiot, and I've been an idiot a lot of times when I've been trying to be nice.
Could you let me influence you a little bit?
Yeah, I'd be happy to.
But all I'm asking you is to influence you so that nobody can ever influence you again, is to watch for the next moment.
So when I'm doing the meditation and the first week, I was like, wow, there's like 6 feet between me and my next reaction.
Yeah.
And now I have this reaction time. I have the analogy of being in a car, and now I'm not driving bumper to bumper. Now I have 4 car lengths in order to react. And I was wow, this is interesting. But then the impatience comes in because, and you could call it lack of faith because
it's all right. You're in the early stages.
Okay.
So be careful. Remember, I'm teaching you psychological karate.
Okay.
Okay. In other words, I am, if I may use physical karate, I'm self-taught judo. And in England, there wasn't any way you go, you have to teach yourself. I was good. But I was only good because there was 6 feet between me and everybody else. I was ahead of every move anybody ever made. So I could beat them. Just like, I don't know, like I've seen on the cartoons, when you can see you'd be eating an ice cream while you're beating everybody up with the other hand. Bang, 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 bang. It's silly, isn't it?
Yes.
But the point is, so you have the ability to see what is about to arouse you, and I don't ask you to repress it. I ask you to observe it with an understanding that resentment is unforgiveness, and you've been forgiven. And the reason why you have the power to do that is because you've been forgiven, and therefore these people are obnoxious like you used to be obnoxious.
Yes.
You tried to be obnoxious to be out obnoxious to other people. You out obnoxious. Isn't that right?
Very precise.
You do to
yes.
unto others what was done unto you, sort of like you.
Exactly.
So the thing is, you want to be not part of the game. You want to be part of the game. That's all I ask you. If you're not part of the game, you'll get better. The only way to win is not to play the game. And playing the game means that you somehow fallen from grace and you're subject to the world and you're doing to others what was done unto you, and you look for little opportunities to be irritable. They don't even know it, so they can't fight you back. You make judgments, and they don't even know you made a judgment, and they can't fight you back because it's a secret. My wife does that. That's why I know you do it.
Okay.
See? So, do you think you could focus gently? Nice? And what I mean, I don't want you to try not to be resentful. I want you to look at the 6 feet in front of you, at the next car bumper, there's somebody you bump into, and see the irritation beginning to rise, and just stand back and look at the irritation. It goes away. And I want you to do that for as long as it takes, because you'll go through this period, and then you wake up one morning, and your eating will go last.
Yeah, you've said that.
I said the eating is the least important, so you can go ahead and eat. And don't let it be a bother to you. But I tell you, there's some point where you suddenly notice, if you're smoking a cigarette, well, I am doing this, and you put it out. And all of a sudden, you come to the point where, I really want to eat that bite, but you see your hand, it's not your hand. It was almost like, hold your hand out for a second, and actually, if you look at your hand, it can actually feel like it belongs to somebody else. That's the distance you put between you and your body, right?
Right.
So if this hand holds the cigarette, that holds the food, you put it, you can actually stand back. I don't think I'm going to take that hand out. See? You can actually do things, but there'll be time before you can do it. And it all has to be in a very natural order. And then, when you're not getting upset with people, God gives you more power, so it becomes more natural not to be upset. All of a sudden, you don't notice yourself being upset with people because you're not. But now, all of a sudden, memories from the past begin to come up. And then, where you're normally upset with them, you do the same thing with them. But you can't do that as long as there's a hole in your head, hole in your boat, and the water keeps coming in, and you keep bailing it out, and the water keeps coming in, and you keep bailing it out, you die.
Right.
Sooner or later, you run out of strength. But if you just swim down to the bilge and plug up the hole, keep the water from getting in. What you're doing is keeping the basis of what you became out. The substance will not fill you up. But the same thing, all of a sudden it allows for you to relax and start to deal with the bilge that's built up in you. And it will come up, and you'll find you can deal with it. But as long as you're resenting something, you can't deal with it because you're keeping adding to it. It's pouring in. Am I making sense?
I understand.
When you understand, you do. Understand means, when you understand it, you don't need to. Understanding is not intellectual. I see it. See, and said, now that's the reasoning. I didn't know. I'm giving you a connection, a beautiful, simple connection, that if you just do that, it's like a heartbeat. And the heartbeat is the embryo of the new you.
Okay.
Okay?
All right. I'm.
You're going to be here for 2-3 days.
Just tomorrow.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, I have to be back at work Monday night.
What kind of work do you do?
I drive a semi.
You do? Well, you need a little weight on you so you can smack somebody on the nose if you had to.
Well, it's not so much the weight, it's the fact that I'm engaging in something I know is wrong,
yes,
even as I'm doing it.
Of course.
Which means I am not in charge.
That's right.
Something else is in charge, and I'm recognizing that as unhealthy, but it's like, I don't know how to stop it.
I know, but I'm showing you that you don't want to stop it all at once. You have to stop it at the origin in your head.
So where we're at now is that I'm not being patient, which is what you stress.
Yeah.
Be patient, be patient, be patient. And I think, well, that's good for other people, you know, but I'm in a hurry here, you know. And so, yeah, okay. Because I noticed almost instantly results with the meditation.
Yeah, but you see, because you came and I'm able to give you the details, and because you asked the right questions, I'm able to pinpoint your impatience, because remember, you never could deal with a symptom. Everything else is a symptom of that particular failing. That is to love God. Look, if you read your scripture, it's all written in there, except you just see words.
I've never studied scripture.
But if you read them, it's all there. It's all there. I can read and go, wow, it's all there. It says, upon 2 laws. He says, you don't need your commandments. You don't need the 10 commandments. He says, just 2 laws. Love God, cleave. This is what you're meditating, you're doing. You're stepping back, and there he is.
Okay.
You see, you don't know that. You don't feel him. I mean, he's invisible. It's like gravity. You don't know what's holding you to the ground. Nobody knows what gravity is any more than nobody knows what God is. It just is.
Yeah.
And if you're in your head, he doesn't belong there. He doesn't come down to you, to your level. You need to step back to where he is, and then he can re-machine you, refix you, readjust everything. And so pretty soon, if you could just do that one thing, forgive, let go. In your case, forgive means not pass judgment, or simply stated, forbear to be resentful. In the smallest things, do not worry about your past. Do not go there, because you can't change the past. It's the sum total of what you are. It's already happened. See? So you're a mess of those things. The only way you can do is to prevent the disease from growing. This disease you've got is the disease of the whole self, right?
Right.
So how do you prevent a disease? You've got the power to prevent the disease. And once you know where the disease is coming from, where it's penetrating you, it's the poison in other people feeding off of you. It's Dracula. They're Draculas sucking on you, and penetrating and sucking you.
And I look for it, or I did.
Yeah, you're embracing Dracula.
Yeah,
Dracula.
Right.
See? Because you're also becoming Dracula. You know, you die and you're born again and you become Dracula. See, and that's what we die and we feed on other people. And we're a very coarse nation because of this. We're all doing it to each other. See? It's like a chain of command with some crazy people at the top who we're going to elect if we're not careful. Right?
Well, it's our culture's, I call it the cycle of idolatry of self.
I know, but America needs to be what it used to be.
Well, that's
and not what it's now become. And so we need your dignity. We need your efficacy, your dignity. And I want you to know, I want everyone to know here, that every illness that you have, this gentleman over here with arthritis, he can get better. If he just understood what I just told to you and practices it, he will straighten out. My wife's hands like this. My hands. And I warned her years ago. I said, your hands will show what your heart's like. She's on the surface, beautiful. She's friendly, and she's businesslike, and she's vivacious. She's got wonderful personality. She doesn't see what she does wrong. She's a wonderful manipulator. Marvelous. I mean, it was the most amazing, some of the sweetest, nicest mothers are killers. Because they hide behind this mask, you don't see what they're like to the children. You see that? You don't see what they're like in real life. They have one face for the world and one face for the kids. And the teachers in school are like that. You had trouble with school.
I was dyslexic.
Yeah.
And so...
I'm dyslexic too. I write theses.
I mean, I've gotten a degree. I can...
What kind of degree do you have?
I have a degree in film history, film production.
Oh, good. Maybe you could make a film of us one day.
Well, I
never can tell.
Can't predict.
But we will help you first.
Well, I will put my pride aside.
Yes.
And just follow through, because without needing to be in control.
You don't need to be in control.
That's my issue.
Let go of the joystick, if you pardon the way I said that. Okay. So you don't want to be in control of anything.
Well, it's tough because for somehow being in control gives you the illusion of being safe, when actually
it's not.
It's not at
You're
all.
not in control at all. The
Right.
struggle gives control to other than self. Once you've understood it, it's okay. And once you've understood that, it's understanding that takes over. That you're okay. See, the trouble is if you see from the small experience you've had recently that anger has gone away to some degree, but how anger is going to creep back if you start to tackle too many things at once.
Okay.
Because then your pride will kick in and say, well, look, where's faith? It's going to take time to undo and redo. See that? And even your past will come towards you because everything's forgiven. But however, now you have to advance that, so that forgiveness, not advance unforgiveness and impatience. So when people come at you with their little irritations, you just look at them and it waves around you like water off a duck's back. That keeps the disease from growing. When you rob the disease of its power, your natural self, your true self, begins to flower. And you're going to feel like you're crazy. For a minute you may feel stupid. You may feel helpless. Helplessness is good. Don't worry. The feeling of helplessness. You're helpless, but don't resent the helplessness, because it's a cry for help. If you just allow the helplessness, because if you are tempted to help yourself, you're right back into the saddle again, trying to take control, and you've listened to a lie. No, I can't talk to a monkey or a dog the way I'm talking to you. They can't hear me, and if they could understand English, they wouldn't understand me. There are some people who are so thick that I can talk to them all day long. They can't hear a word they're saying. They try to remember everything I say. You don't have to remember anything I say except one thing. The whole seminar is boiled down to this one thing. You've been forgiven. And the proof of it is that you know how to forgive. Suddenly there's distance. You're not emotionally available anymore, if I may say so, in a good way. But you will affect people. Now this patience will affect people differently. Your relationships immediately change. Just this much, and that much, and that much. And so to the degree that you can keep the poison from reinfecting you, then all the things will fall into their own place. Do you feel it? You feel it now. Do you sense that, what I'm saying?
I sense it, but I'm resisting asking you now. How long is this going to take?
Would you like the answer?
Yeah.
How old are you now?
I'm 41.
I'm 80. Try waiting till you're 80.
So I shouldn't not engage in my life because I'm not perfect.
You only engage. Listen, keep engaging in life, but the one thing you don't engage in is that little indulging. I'm only asking you to overcome the indulgence to be resentful.
Okay.
And everything then will fall into its own place. Am I not relating to you? Am I not relating to my audience? Am I not relating to people? I can joke and do magic tricks. What happened to it? There you are, you see. But you see, I can have fun. But you're going to be impenetrable to evil, to the cruelty that people don't know they have. Remember, they don't know they have it. You're going to have to hold up a mirror to show them they have it, and they may come at you again. See? They may try you. It's okay. Love them. Got it?
That's got it. It's just...
But never mind, when you look in the mirror and you want to have a relationship, it's going to take a little while, 6 months, a year, and when you look back, you will always think, this is how it will feel. You'll always feel like something good is about to happen. You'll start to feel that way, and then it doesn't. But if you look back in the years as I look back, I always felt like something good was going to happen, but I don't know what it is. Well, since I don't know what it is, I don't know it happened. It's been happening all along. I can look back and say, if I was sitting there and didn't know about resentment, then my whole life, I wouldn't be sitting here. I'd blow my brains out. I'd be a drunk. My kids, see, everything changes. So, if you understand what I'm saying, will never know what you missed. The bad things that you missed. The good things when you look back 20 years from now, you say, wow, I'm sure glad I listened to that old Jewish boy. See? So give it time. Just watch what being resentful does. Watch how, it's a heartbeat. You're an embryo. The heart starts to beat. And the new self begins to evolve around it. Give it time.
Okay.
See? Because nothing you can do can make it better. So you've been given a gift. Before, you couldn't stop being angry, could you?
No, I was angry all day.
Well, then what took that away? You don't know.
No, I don't. And actually, it was funny because I stopped and went, I'm not angry, and I should be.
See?
Because I had a bad day, and normally I'm irate, and I got almost to the end of the day, and I was like, wow, what happened today?
And just keep that meditation going. And after a while, you won't need to meditate. Because 2, 3, 4 years from now, you really won't need it because you'll be in that state. It's the state of mind you need to be in. It's not meditation. That's the way to get there. So in the beginning, you do a little practice and make sure that you're connected. So the good book says, don't let the sun go down on your anger. Don't give the devil that kind of opportunity. See that? So just check yourself over, stop at a traffic light, and then you just, don't close your eyes too long as you forget you might go to sleep. But, just be any point. Sit in a room, sit on the thunder mug in your bathroom, and you can meditate there. He don't care where you are.
Okay.
Thank you for
Thanks.
Okay. Well, now, there are some dark things in people, and they need to come to the surface. And right now, I can tell who they are because they're very quiet.
Oh, Roy.
Yeah.
I've been there a few years.
Can you stand up so I can see you back there? I'd like to see you. There you are. Thank you.
I came all the way from Boston, Massachusetts, to a seminar, and I got some frightening problems.
Why don't you come up here and talk to me? Okay. Okay. Do I have to be scared?
No.
I'm all right?
I'm scared.
Okay.
My mother was one of those type of people that hated you. And when I was meditating in 79 and was starting to work, and all of a sudden weird things started happening. Like my parents would interrupt me at inopportune times when I was meditating. And I know why they were doing that, because the evil in them didn't want me to be free of the evil in them.
That's right.
Or myself. And she threw away all your meditation materials. I asked her what happened to her. She lied about it. I searched from top to bottom in the house. And here's the rule of the roost of my house. And it was a living hell. And that's where I'm probably going at this point.
You're not. Don't worry.
It was a fierce, dominating, violent, emotionally angry mother. A weak, gutless, milquetoast father who I don't believed in God at all. If he did, he never told me he did.
Yep.
And there was constant anger in the house all the time. My mother would scream at me, constantly nag and harp. And this has led nothing to a downward spiral in my life because of all starting with my parents. And I would cry myself to sleep at night. I would beat on my pillow. I would bite the pillow. I would punch holes literally in my bedroom wall. I'd say it was a nightmare from hell. Then I started, everybody that I ever befriended was the wrong person, because there's something seriously wrong with my personality. And there's something, I got a serious weakness in my soul.
You also have a certain strength. There's a certain nice strength in you because you want to be a good person. Am I right?
Yes.
So I hear that struggle to be a good person. I have a friend of mine who's in the mafia. He was. He talks like you. He talks about how he struggled. And he had to run the numbers and beat off the carrot truck and beat off the guys that wanted to steal everything. And so he becomes a kind of hitman, so to speak. And but then he says, I became so evil that I don't feel like I'm fit to be alive. But there's something sweet about him. He became my good friend. He's a very good friend, and he's living a very good life. He talks like you because he really wants to be a good person. And when he heard me, he cried. And he's been changing ever since. And I know that's in you.
Well, let me continue. Here's the kind of people I've seemed to gravitate in my life, and each one got worse. Each devil got worse and worse and worse. The first person I befriended in my life, in school, was a psychic vampire. Then I went to another one, and another one. And there's a last person I got involved with, and I don't know why. Probably, maybe it was rebellion out of my parents. He turned out to be a full-blown psychopath.
Yeah.
And I'm possessed with the evil that came from him into me.
I understand that. We may have an exorcism here, might
I
we?
need one. This evil, Roy, has been in me for 21 years, and it's killing me. It's really destroying. There's something unholy in me that does not belong in me. And I feel it in me.
How does it feel towards me? Does like me?
I don't know. Probably not.
No. You don't, it doesn't stir. Does it not stir when you're talking to me? There's not something stir inside you that's not you. Or do you know what I'm trying to say?
Mm.
Is it something that's angry with me as you sit here? Would you take a look to see if there's something angry that isn't you? Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm.
What did I say?
There's something angry in me that isn't me.
Are you completely aligned with it? I don't think you are, because you should be in worse shape than you are right now. You seem to be very healthy and strong. I think there's a struggle that's made you strong. It's a good.
But I can feel these evil spirits in me, literally.
But they don't have any. They don't have any animus towards me. You don't feel them.
No.
You don't feel angry towards me.
No.
That's a good thing. Well, look. I tell you what. Would you make sure that you're going to be here for the whole seminar?
Probably for 2 days. I wanted to stay the whole 3 days, Roy, but
never mind.
I missed my flight. I got my confused, and I missed my flight last night, so I had to take a cab here from Medford. So.
All right. Well, so you just came here a little while ago.
Yeah.
So you missed most of the morning and everything.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'll tell you what. If you can stay till Monday, if you're only going to stay till tomorrow, is that? I'm you by my guest till. Could you be my guest through Monday?
Sure.
It's a deal.
All right.
Because we're going to take care of this.
All right. All right. Thank you, Roy.
You sit in the front, but I want you to sit in the front row.
All right.
From now onwards, for tomorrow when you come in, sit close to me.
Okay.
Because there may be, this is sort of like a private group, so there are people watching, but there's only about 150 people watching. It's just a small group. So add 150 people and a part of this. It's a little scary to watch, things that might happen here. But this is our first day, and I need to work with you a little bit more. So you heard what I said to this gentleman about anger?
Yes.
And have you started meditating again?
I'm in a situation, Roy, where I don't have a place to meditate. I've been homeless for a long time. I've been living, off and on. I've been living on the streets of Boston for about 12 years.
How did you get the money to come here?
I'm on SSI, so.
Oh, so you saved a little money. You saved some of that.
Well, I had a retro payment. Well, actually, my lawyer fronted me the money. But
oh, that's nice.
I wanted to get here years ago, but I never had the opportunity. You know, I wish I had. And
you'll be all right before you leave.
I hope so.
I do.
Okay.
Is he swallowing or choking down his voice?
Well, yeah, he's had. Well, no, I don't know if I don't think that's a germane question. Actually, it's just that he's struggling. His voice represents struggle. His voice represents anger and frustration.
Yeah, what I've been struggling with my mind is, how could I get involved with such an evil person? I mean, this person was evil.
I know.
He was like Ted Bundy, you know what I mean? And how could I get sucked into such a web of evil?
I can tell. If you were here this morning, you would have that question answered. But we will go. I will go again through this question. There's a lady back. Did you want to say something?
I'd like to make a point. Regarding to this gentleman.
Can you stand up so I can see? I'd like to see you.
Hi. I'm so glad that he ended up here and not at the hands of psychiatrists.
See, my friend lady is a psychiatrist.
I'm actually a psychiatry resident,
psychiatrist.
so unfortunately we cannot always help people. How can I say? We help in different ways. But we see people like you frequently, and I'm so glad wholeheartedly that you ended up here with Roy, who can help you. Instead of with my colleagues who probably will not be able to help.
The colleagues don't see it your way, do they? They're into pills and drugs and yes, sir.
Because psychiatry is a godless profession anyway.
It is.
I've heard since this spirit has come into me, like in 1995, I heard this audibly in Massachusetts. This happened in 1987, but in 1995, I heard the devil's voice very audibly in my whispering, shouting in my ear.
And this is not far-fetched.
No.
See, not far-fetched.
And it said, "You are mine." That's what it said.
Yeah, but you know, devil.
That's scary.
He can make mistakes. As a matter of fact, he's full of them. He's one big mistake, so I wouldn't worry about that too much. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to make a comment that no matter how bad your life has been or is, in one moment, even if you're a drug user or something like that, in a moment it can be all over.
It will be.
And you don't have to have it behind you even anymore, because when you begin to meditate and you become clear, your life just changes and you don't have to go backwards. You can if you want, but you don't have to go backwards ever, and that's.
No, he means well.
Yeah.
We'll start with you tomorrow.
All right.
Because
this is just a miracle in itself, because out of all the homeless that I know, most of those people, they're dead to God's truth. They're dead to reality, and most of them are going to die that way. They're just going to die in their sins, and I don't want to die that way.
You're not going to. You're not going to. You know why? You knew where to come. So, I know that you've been drawn to all the wrong people, right? And would you like to know the reason why?
Yes.
Maybe a simple explanation would be helpful. It's simply this. The spirit of your mom, it could be your dad, but in this case it's your mom. The spirit gets into you when you hate your mom and you hate your dad. And there's a sequence here which we'll talk about in a few minutes. But the principle is simply this, that mouth, that degrading, defaming mouth, has a tremendous amount of power. The spoken word, ever since paradise was lost. If you remember, there's lots of things to read into the story of Adam and Eve. He says, because you've hearkened unto the voice of your woman or wife, dust thou art. In other words, you've died. Because you have in you a wordless word, don't you? You know where I'm coming from. Yes. In a wordless way. But you've got words inside your head that have degraded you. And you've allowed it to penetrate you and get upset. You couldn't help. When you're a little boy, you can't help it. You're not to blame for any of this. But then your mother too, forgive me, your mother may not be blamed either, nor your father, because they were simply dead. You know, let the dead, who was it? Jesus says, I think he said, one disciple said, let me go bury my father. He says, let the dead bury their dead. What does he mean by that? You just said it. You see all these people around you, they're just dead, they'll go that way.
Yeah.
Why are you here? You're here because you're drawn here. With everything you had, you came here, did you not?
Yes.
Why did you come? Because you're drawn to me. Isn't that a good sign that I appreciate you drawn to me?
Yes.
Okay. So something good is happening, is it not? That isn't happening to them. You can't wake them up. I can't wake you up I can't draw you. You know what the good book says? Again, none can come to my Father except he draw them.
In 29 years, Roy, I probably have met maybe one person that was actually a meditator, one person that liked you. You know, most of the reactions you get when you mention your name, you know. He's demonic. He's the devil, you know.
I survived.
It's hard to even tell people about you.
Isn't that amazing?
You know?
Isn't that amazing?
I mean, there's some real off-the-wall, real right-wing fascist fanatic Christians in Boston. Like there's these people that walk around with these sandwich board signs on that say Jesus or hell. Now, who in their right mind is going to take people like that seriously? And I mentioned your name to one day. He said, he's demonic. And I said, no, you're demonic, you know?
I know. We were talking this morning about everybody in the world thinking, people in the world thinking backwards. That's why I like that backward man tuned to my program. We think backwards. They actually have accepted contradictions, a contradictory life as normal, and the normal life is a contradiction. So that when you are normal, you're a contradiction to them.
What's behind and other people in Boston, what's behind people that get out in public, like on a street corner, and just start reading the Bible?
Oh, well,
incessantly?
we don't want to worry about this. But actually, I have a big, you'd like to know, I have a huge audience in Boston of people who appreciate me. There really is. So let's not concentrate on just a few, which you were drawn to. There are people here who appreciate what we, right?
Yeah.
So we're in good company. So there
I
may
wish
be
I could find someone in Boston. I guess I'm traveling the wrong circles.
Well, yes, it's difficult because I don't get out that much these days.
Yeah.
So I try to get.
I mean, I used to go to your seminars years ago in New England Life Hall.
Well, you saw how many people were there?
Yeah.
Didn't you?
Yeah.
So there's good people, don't worry.
Okay.
There's good people. You've just been attracted. What I'm saying to you, the reason why you're attracted, look, women are often attracted to their mother and their husbands. We were talking about that this morning. So let's say mother was cruel to a little girl. And she hates her mother with a passion. So what she needs as a little girl, as she grows up to be a woman, she needs a strong man to save her from the wicked mother, right? So, but she mistakes beast for strong. See, unconsciously, she's looking for the strength. She gives herself, instead of to a noble man, but she can't give herself to a noble man because she's not compatible. She hates her mother so much that there's something in her mother that's drawn to another mother, and that other mother happens to be in a male form. Do you understand that? And can't see. So we could disabuse you of this dark side. It can't be attracted because you were only attracted to those people because that thing inside needs you to be drawn to those other people because it wants you to give yourself to it so that it can reinforce its nature in you. Do you follow that? Yeah. It's like a vampire. The story of vampire is always intriguing to people because at first the woman is terrified, but then she is intrigued, and the cross once she's bitten, even though she has the cross on her and the garland of garlic, then there's something in her that is, even though it's trembling, is addicted to the bite. Once you get bitten, your blood, your life force goes, spiritual life force goes to that which bites your mom. And once it's in there, it will, no matter, you can put all the rosaries and all the crosses on you and all the protection, but it will draw you back to that which has put itself in you. So, and you can't help but think of that as love. In much of the case, you can actually be drawn to it as if you were drawn in love to the thing that's going to kill you, eat you up alive. It's because it's the nature in you that takes over. See, if I can disabuse you of the anger towards your mother and your father first, because your mother set you unconsciously, played with your father in such a way, he gave himself to her, and then fed you to her. You were left. She's a feeder. Do you understand that, don't you? And so once that nature gets inside you, you can run away from your mother, but you'll be drawn to others who have the same nature. And you find yourself drawn and giving yourself to them in the hope that you'll become a little bit more complete, that something good will come from it. No.
I think there was part of me that wanted
approval.
To be like try to please her, but
you can't.
There wasn't no pleasing her.
No. You see, little children, when they're angry with their parents, have a lot of guilt, and the beautiful part of you, what I see is a beauty, is that you don't want to hate your parents. Am I right?
Yeah.
You don't want to, and so you have a conscience, but you're confused about what this conscience is trying to tell you. See, so it's confusing you about this. You're guilty, but you're not guilty of having done anything wrong. What you're guilty of is hate towards your parent. But the point is, your parent is hateable. How can a little kid who once expects a mother and father to love them and to have a strong father to protect you from a wicked mother, how do you expect a child to... It's not your fault. You've been trapped. But it's not a weakness of yours. It's not a weakness. It is a compulsion that every child will experience sooner or later in such a situation. And then you get passed from this generation to the schools and to one person to another who finish off the job, and then you're dead. Then the psychiatrists will get you, and they'll feed off of you.
And my parents were always sending me to psychiatrists as early as
they
third
needed
grade.
To go to a psychiatrist.
They said I was hyperactive. I was bored in school, basically.
Of course.
That's what it was come down to.
All I need to do is you believe me, don't you?
Yes.
I say you're not a bad person. I accept who you are as a little kid. And I want you to put me in the place of your parents. But I'm going to also ask you to let your mother go and your father. But especially your father first, because he's supposed to be your protector. But he couldn't deal with your mother either. He was equally a victim as you.
Yeah.
He didn't know any better. Look, you're in a manner of speaking, you're in your father's shoes when it comes to women and being... See, you don't know how to stand up to yourself because you're drawn towards the bitch and the son of one, right? It doesn't make any difference. It's the same spirit, isn't it? And so you're drawn.
Also, my father his father died early in life, like when he was 11, so he was raised by his mother. And then he became a criminal. You know, he was in prison for 10 years, and I,
You know what?
It's just.
Do you see?
It's not the ideal.
Can I
family
just
that I
interrupt you?
have.
Can you see this gentleman here? He's got a good heart. Do you understand what brings him here? Do you understand how much struggle or what intent it takes to bring him here? When he can least afford it, right? He's here where he's normally drawn to the worst places. He's now drawn here. And it's not easy to come here for you. Was it? So you'll be my guest. As a matter of fact, you're gonna go back to Boston on Monday, Tuesday?
I don't know.
Well, we'll let you stay here for a week.
All right.
Would you like that?
Yes.
Be my guest.
Oh, there's a couple of other types of people that listen to you. People that pretend that they like you, but they really don't.
Yeah, I know.
I know somebody that calls himself a psych clinician that works in whatever that is. And you know what he said? I mentioned your meditation. He goes, well, you can mix the meditation with medication. I said, no, you don't mix the two, And he's trying to tell me it's just serotonin in your head misfiring.
Well, now look, my friend, what's your first name?
Earl.
Earl, don't you see, you got plenty of common sense, don't you?
Yes.
All you have to do is apply it. And the first thing we're going to show you, do we have a machine we can give him so he can meditate? We'll find something for him. In your privacy of your own room, just sit quietly. And tomorrow we'll work on you. I'll do a little work on you, but just do a little bit of self-exam.
I've tried everything. AA, I've been court-ordered AA, all these 12-step programs, and this woman one time was in this program, and you know what she said? And I'm going to listen to kooks like this. We were in some kind of meeting, and she does false meditation, yoga. She made the most asinine statement I ever heard in my life, and she said, yes, I was reading this book the other day, like one of those New Age type books, and she said, Hitler's in heaven.
Yeah, well.
Okay.
That gives you an idea where she's coming from. Right?
Yeah.
But now you see, but you see, there's something inside you. I just want you to see this. I want you to see as I see you, because you're troubled because of the way other people have seen you, and it's affected you. I don't see you that way.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you're a saint.
Oh,
I'm saying you're a little
by no
kid.
means.
I said you're a little kid trapped in the worst conditionings, and that's not hard to fix. See, and so you've got common sense. That is the ground of your new self. See, you've somehow held fast. You're still alive in there. They're not.
Yeah.
Can you imagine a country run by people in positions of power?
I see people every day in Boston. Their souls are gone.
I know. Well,
completely
there's good people. There's good people there too. Though I'm not.
Yeah.
You've been hobnobbing with the wrong kind naturally.
Yeah.
But there's lots of good ones. There's lots of good ones. And good ones keep sending me money. Don't listen to him. I'm just kidding. All right. Any other questions right now? Yes. Oh, David.
Yes.
You want to?
I am your son.
Yeah, this is my son David. He's going to be around and have dinner. You're going to get free dinner, and maybe he'll talk. Maybe he'll talk to you.
And then, if you want to let him know, I'll come out and we'll have a discussion group after dinner.
Yeah. Either way, you can sit in the living room, or you can sit here. If you want to make this, we have a nice big living room in there, so there might be some people who will come, and some people just want to just go to their room. But the rooms, the drawing room is a nice, comfortable place, and we just hope that you sit around and chat with each other and sort of. Don't forget that. Don't talk to each other about things you would otherwise tell me. Make sure, because you've got to be very careful when you find people who are, friendly. It just be like the bartender. It could be good, but whatever you tell people, if you tell them, please tell me tomorrow, because I can go in there like a ferret after a rabbit, So other people you can share ideas with each other, and maybe you can help each other. I get it. Maybe you can say things to a person I wouldn't be able to say. That's fine. But don't forget, if you haven't resolved the problem, if speaking with each other doesn't resolve problems, that you finally find someone you can speak to. Because there's not many people you can speak to that understand. You know that. And they won't use your understanding, the knowledge you gave them, to blackmail you with it, sort of, to judge you. That's what you're going to be so careful. Some people you want to confess, and then they'll use it to judge you. No, I don't. And I don't. If anybody here judges you for what you say, that'll be their problem. But I like for you to, express these hidden thoughts, because it's the hidden thoughts. Like my friend here. Look, you're here for a reason. And I believe that your condition can be easily resolved, although it takes a little while to straighten up. But I believe that your condition is an emotional condition. Do you believe that? I think I forgot to tell you something. I started to tell you something before, and I got away from it. And I remember getting away from it. Let me say it to you now. That emotions, you were talking about crystals in your blood and being different from some other disease. What was the disease that was different from gout?
My disease is pseudo-gout.
Pseudo-gout, yeah, pseudo-gout. And I would say to you, and I talked about my wife having crinkled hands because the heart actually expresses itself when it's hidden. When all else is hidden, it expresses itself in some kind of disease or deformity. And arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, especially young people. Arthritis is a disease of old age. I haven't got it. I'm a little bit creaky. I have a little aches and pains when I walk. You would never know it, but I don't have arthritis. Straight. And that I'm old. I'm 80. I'm not young. So, but you're young and you're twisted, and something's twisted in you. But it's more than that. It's a chemistry to it, and the chemistry is simply this: it's what we call a chemical imbalance, which psychiatrists and psychologists try to fix with chemistry, and they don't know what the hell they're talking about. They're just trying to make you feel better. They don't know what the chemical balance. Who knows how the body runs itself? It's infinitely complex. For anyone to think you can fix the chemical imbalance without understanding the root of chemical imbalance, because you can eat some of the worst kind of food and still survive with a perfect chemical balance. The body knows how to survive and make almost something out of nothing. How the prisoners of war eat white rice for years and years. Some die and some come out healthy as they can be. The slop, they had to eat rats, whatever they could eat, and they made it. You'd never know there was a prisoner of war camp for 5 years. So, talk about chemical imbalances. If there's going to be chemical imbalances, they died from it. But there are some who are strong, who survive. Perfectly balanced in their head, better men than they ever were before. That's what trials and tribulations do to you. Even starvation can trigger what they call the survival gene. As a matter of fact, danger is good for you because it triggers the survival gene. And security is dangerous for you because you slowly wither away. They did some experiments with worms and different kinds of creatures, and they've taken they found the genome or whatever it is. There's another word for it, but they found what's that word? Cell. I can't find the right word for DNA. Yeah, and they find the right one, and they remove it. This is a survival gene, and they wither away. And they stress them, and they wither away. And the ones that wither survive, they find the right gene. The survival gene is triggered by stress. But what we're dealing here is with two kinds of stress. That the worms have stress, dogs have stress, mice have stress, our lions have stress. Every creature has stress, and stress is a survival thing. It's the survival of the fittest. The survival gene kicks in, and the strongest survive. And therefore, but the stress that you have is not ordinary stress. It's stress of wickedness. It's the stress of cruelty. Just like the gentleman here was talking about what happened in his life. I'm sure you're all here with similar experiences, but you're all, I can see some of you are sort of shut up. I see faces that are very quiet and sort of muted. See, there's a gentleman over there, a little bit muted, see? And there's a lady over here that's very quiet, and this gentleman sitting behind, back there, and several people been very muted, don't say anything, and I have suspicion that you got to speak up somehow. You got to speak about the problem, because it's speaking up. It's the fear of stress. It's the fear of ridicule. See, you fear that there's something that won't let you take a stand. And if you can't do it here, where will you do it? And so it's not only a survival gene physically, where you take a stand and you're a full-blooded survival person, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically. But because the first thing, let's see if I can find this. The first thing has to happen if you're going to recover in every way that's possible, mentally, emotionally, is here, up here, in your consciousness. Because it's the absence of that consciousness, the fact that something has swept you away, some unhealthy stress. I mean, lions get stressed, puppies get stressed, chickens get stressed. But they don't carry it with them. When they run and they become a better chicken. And giraffes get stressed. They get a stretched neck. If they don't have a big enough neck, they not able to reach the trees and to feed. So the ones with the longest necks, they get stressed. The ones with the shortest neck, they die. That is adaptation. But the point is, you're the same way. There's no courage without danger. There's no courage. You cannot have courage without danger. Danger is a necessity of life. To be bold, it's an adventure. It's an adventure in spirit. For animals, it's an adventure of what we call evolution. The survival of the fittest. Those who don't live up to it, they're food. Why not? There's nothing personal about it. It's just the way God intended nature to be. The survival of the fittest. Well, in human beings, shouldn't that be the same way? The survival of the fittest. Why should weak, pathetic people who cannot stand up for themselves survive? Why should they? Why should we have a medical system for people so that all we do is maintain their ill health and their dependency and their false security so they never grow? And so don't you see a government, a certain kind of government, a predatory government, will breed the worst human beings. They'll breed beasts so that they're cannon fodder for them. Or they breed weak, feeble human beings so that the cry will grow up for security and medical and social security and Medicare, because their whole life, their whole miserable existence depends upon someone rising to the occasion of their need. We've talked about this all the time. So, survival of the fittest is the survival of the most spiritual. When you find you've got it. If anyone will be a champion of goodness, it'll be you. I know you don't think much of yourself. I do. If anyone's going to be a leader, you'll be it. If anybody's going to be running around Boston straightening people out, it'll be you. And you won't be homeless much longer. Because you have it within you.
Got a lot of work ahead of me then.
Yes, fine, you do. So do I. I've got a lot of work ahead of me. I'm not finished. I'm no more finished than you are. See, I'm not finished till I'm dead. Right? At the end of my life, that's going to find me doing the same thing. You know, I'll fall over on the floor, giving a talk or writing a thesis or doing something. But it's not going to stop. Or I'm not going to retire. And just take my head and put some, when I die, you just put it on a table, put some tapes that make my mouth go up and down. I'm still working. I mean, yeah, listen, some people do more things dead than they do alive. Remember the movie El Cid? He forgave his enemy. He was a noble man. So in the end, there was a tremendous battle. But he was so feared, but he got killed. The arrow went through him. But he was such a respected, feared, noble man. And we have these Muslim hordes in Spain. It's all about that. It's a good movie. You've got to go see it. I'm going to describe it. So he says, put me on the horse. When I'm dead, put me on the horse and prop me up and put me in the front. And they knew, the enemy knew they'd killed him. They knew it. They had all felt emboldened. So here comes El Cid with arrows in him. riding towards them, and they're all freaked out. Some people do more when they're dead than they're alive. See? So even Jesus did more after he so-called died and spread the word. But even though we don't have many Christians, as you know it, we have good people. They're out there. There's some good Christians out there. But there's also, you meet those who are mostly fake. They're more obvious. They make themselves more obvious and obnoxious, you know. So what we want to do is when man came 2,000 years ago, and he sat on the side of a hill and he talked with people, and there was no books. They couldn't read anyway. He would talk to them, and they would be astonished at what they heard. And all they had to do is hear the truthful things from a truthful person. It just makes a difference if a truthful person speaks truthfully, while an untruthful person speaks the same truth. It has a twist to it. And it was sort of a very dangerous, cruel twist to hear beautiful words come out of a person who's plastic. See, can you tell the difference? See, so you're here. I think you're more relaxed now, aren't you?
Yeah.
You are. You're going to be okay. You're amongst friends. Anybody else have a question they want to ask right now? Well, it's actually, we've been here, see what time? 1 o'clock? We've been here 3 hours. I don't know, it's unbelievable. Well, I'm going to charge you overtime. We'll see you tomorrow, right? And so we have a beautiful ranch. Careful of the woods. I don't want to see you running out of the woods with a bear behind. We do have bears. Thank you very much. And those of you who will tune in tomorrow 9 o'clock, we'll talk to you then. And maybe you want to call some friends and say, you've got to listen to this man, me. And tomorrow you may be able to see a few things. We've seen a few things today. If you listen to the full spectrum early this morning, not so exciting this afternoon, but this morning was rather interesting. Tomorrow we'll talk to you. Oh, it's okay?
You can hear me tomorrow.
In a manner of speaking. And I don't expect you to straighten out tomorrow, but I'll hear first.
I can definitely benefit.
Yeah, there's something we need to chat to see what you've learned tomorrow, and see if I can fill in the gaps. And in the end, it'll always be come to the same point of view. Drop resentment. And learn to present the next irritation even to your infirmity. You can actually be frustrated with your infirmity.
I think approaching, perhaps number one, resenting having the infirmity.
Yeah.
Might be the first.
Yeah, but see, resentment may have brought the infirmity that you're now resenting. See? It's a vicious cycle. We talked. Yes?
I don't know if there's a quick answer to this, but I can't help but ask you about the genetic factor. I mean, all of this makes sense as far as our conditioning, but this gentleman may have a genetic predisposition. So is there a quick answer to that?
I do not think so. I do not think it's a genetic. I don't think you were born that way, were you?
Well, it's interesting. My father does have the same disease.
That doesn't mean to say that, but you weren't born that way.
No.
See, he was born straight.
Yes.
Yeah.
There is a genetic.
No. Look, let me put it this way. They say that there's a genetic disposition for cancer. We'll talk about this tomorrow. And a genetic disposition for diabetes, a genetic disposition for being an adulterer, believe it or not. I mean, it's all, and also for being eating too much, gluttony. They always excuse you. You don't want. There are some genetic dispositions. I agree. This is not one of them, and cancer is not one of them, and adultery isn't, and alcoholism isn't one of them. You can blame it if you blame genetic disposition for every problem. What you're doing is crippling the people.
Not every.
No, but you can. There may be, but I already figured it's not. And when he says my father had it, that does not mean to say that it's genetic, because you can get cancer. Cancer is not infectious, is it? All right. So then how does one get it? They blame it on genetics. But the truth of the matter, it's atmosphere. It's atmosphere that transfers the nature of the cancer victim to the next generation. It's a cancer personality. Many of these illnesses, drunkenness, travels from one generation to another. Because if a child is born into a good environment, he's not going to be an alcoholic like his dad. If his dad can recover before he has that kid and have a good mom, he's not going to grow up to be an alcoholic. Because none of my kids are going to be alcoholic. Grandkids, my kids are not alcoholics. They don't take drugs. They don't smoke. They do all the things. They're faithful to their spouses. What more do you want? I've got 5 successful kids, as far as that's concerned. 5 out of 5. And I got a wife that's difficult. And she'll be all right one day. God waits for me, I wait for her. Isn't that simple? That's how it works. Yes. I'm charging you overtime.
Are you? Okay. Science can clone animals. Can you be cloned?
Stand up.
I said science can clone animals. Can you be cloned?
We'll leave that to another day. But whatever it is, it won't be me. You know, the lady who works in the kitchen, I know her for 30 years. She's a twin. You cannot tell them apart. They're completely different people. Their genetics are the same. I don't know if their thumbprints are the same, but their genetics are identical. They're interchangeable parts. But the point is, they're completely different people. They've gone different ways. One is spiritual, one is not. So, whatever you make of me, take a cell, doesn't mean to say it's me.
But with cloning, it's a
duplicate.
Be me.
No, you
exactly.
You have to see that with a human being, when you clone a cat, then you have a duplicate cat.
Mm-hmm.
When you clone me, you have not a duplicate me. You only have, see? You don't want a clone me. It might be the devil.
No.
Thank you very much.